Welcome everyone, welcome to Team Fortress TV. This is a big game that we have for you tonight. This is ETF2L Premiership Season 32. This is upper bracket round 1 between SWIFT and Ascent. So seeds 2 and 3 in the regular season. So yeah, that's a banger for us tonight. I'm Ombrack. I'm joined by DuMmTm. Hi DuMmTm.
What's up? Should be, like you said, a really good game, close game for sure. Last time they played was already close enough, so I'm hoping for a repeat of that.
Yes, indeed, it was close. I think besides Bard 7, Swift was the only team Ascent lost point to, so it should be close enough. And to close that out, we also have Peter doing the camera work for us tonight. So every time you see a nurse shot, it's going to be thanks to him. But yeah, let's go back to that game, Ascent against Swift. These two teams pretty much ended where we expected them to. Ascent being the runner-up to 7, Swift being third team. It's pretty much what we expected so far, DuMmTm. So far, so good.
Yeah, but it's been fairly close for them. Like you said, Swift the only team to get points off of Ascent, a single one. Both games are close on Logjam 4-2, on Process 3-2 into Golden Cap. We won't see any map repeats, spoiler alert, from that game to today, so the precedent might have been set that it's close, but if any difference is here to be seen in the maps, it won't be due to like the same maps being played again, basically.
And before we go any further into the maps, I say we just go through the roster so we know what we have to deal with tonight. DuMmTm, I'll let you pick the team you wanna go through, and I'll do the other one.
Alright, on the red team so far, we see Swift being lined up here with Seeds on Medic. Lucas is their demo man. Gink and Papi on Soldier Duo, and Classy and Scruff will be their scouts.
That's a scary lineup, I'm not gonna lie. And for Ascent.EU, we have Kondok or Connor playing Medic. The demo will be Dr. Phil. Pocket Soldier Silentis, Roaming Soldier none other than Drac, and the two scouts are Amps and Credu. I would have a tough time telling you who's the Pocket Scout, who's the Roaming Scout, because I think these guys swap around quite often. But for the sake of it, let's assume that Amps is going to play Pocket Scout, but we could see Credu beasting through the enemy lines with the beam from time to time, so don't get too hung up on that. But yeah, first map, Granary, kind of a... I didn't expect this map to be played, especially because it was a Ascent pick, and the last time they played Granary unofficial was against Feint, and they kind of struggled. They were winning 3-0, and then it was 3-3, and they barely won it. So I don't know. What do you think of that Granary pick from Ascent? Wait, was it Ascent?
Yeah.
No, it's actually Swift, so it makes
Swift,
sense.
well,
it actually makes sense that they pick Swift, that they pick Granary.
Yeah, that's a lot more in line with what makes sense here. They saw them struggle a bit on Granary. Hope to probably repeat some of that. Let's see what the other map was for them on, or the other match they played on Granary. Yeah, both teams played Vokriva on Granary, so not the closest games, unfortunately, there to get some more intel from. So besides from that, you would just assume that Swift's fairly strong on it. I've watched a little bit of them on Granary, and they do have fairly strong mids and last pushes. Not so sure about other stuff, but obviously those two are always the most important things when it comes down to it. So if you can just like isolate it to those two areas as much as possible, you're gonna have a good time.
So you reckon they Swift pick Granary based on their own strength, not because maybe it's a map Ascent would struggle on? Because when you do map picks in such high stakes game, you're always wondering, do we pick a map that we're good at, or do we pick a map that the enemy is bad at? Do you think they had both things in mind?
I think that is definitely a thing that crosses people's minds, but I do imagine that if it comes down to it, most teams would rather pick what they are comfortable on at the end of the day. So they might also see that, oh, hey, they had some weak results there, that's good for us, but they probably primarily just had in mind that that's a strong map for them. And I always say for map hits, if it's like for most teams anyway, if it's like Process Gully Snake, that it shouldn't be valued too much either way, because it's like the most played maps across the board, and all the other maps mean a lot more, in my opinion, if you're good or bad on them. So that's what it comes down to, but we don't have much of any of those at the beginning here, only later on.
So what's at stake here in this game? The winner will go further in the winner bracket facing 7, while the loser will go down into the loser bracket to play against Feint. So kind of already a pretty decisive games, because you can't really afford to lose a game that early on, otherwise it's going to be already super tight to make it through. And I don't. If we go about a bit about prediction, DuMmTm, I don't really know what to go for right now, because on paper Ascent probably has a small edge, but I feel like Swift are a team that maybe people don't really. I don't know. I feel like people maybe sleep a bit on them compared to Ascent and Seven, but I'd say that Swift is really a team that you should be careful with, because I think on a good day they have really the kind of players that can really pop off, such as Gink and Pappy. So
yeah, they have the potential for sure. I would say if this were to be the upset win for Swift, I would imagine it going to 3 maps and not to 2. I don't believe Ascent is going to slack so much that it's going to be a matter of 2 maps for Swift here, and it's going to be close one either way. But looks like the game is about to start here.
Exactly, this is upper bracket round 1. This is the second game of that upper bracket. This is Swift against Ascent. The winner will go to face 7 in the winner bracket round 2. And this is the first bit of the first map on Granary. And I can see already Lucas being so much earlier than Dr. Phil on that middle fight. He's already laying some stickies, trying to control the area. None of these teams go for an aggression. As I said, that both Drac and Selective, they bomb in each for an individual target, but neither of them can find any frag, and it's probably going to be a retreat already for Ascent, unless they can find any frag. But it looks like a really good fight for Swift now, if they take it nice and slow. Kondak already disconnected far back. He's getting chased though. There's a soldier on his case. Can he get the frag? Kondak tries to juke a first rocket, but Pappy was extremely patient here, and with the 3 rockets in and got the frag on the medic, and really dominant mid here from Swift.
Yeah, they just fairly passive. They saw the soldiers coming, were ready for it for the most part. Quell is still behind lines, not too much of a concern as of yet. Both scouts on mid are too much for him to handle, at least both at the same time. So fairly strong defensive mid fight here, just held to hold against the soldiers coming in and the scouts walking forward and all that together. Worked fairly nice for them here. Last defense setup for Ascent, we see not much else. Oftentimes you see heavies or snipers as well on the last point here, but they just obviously have to deal with Credo behind lines still. So let's see if he can put up some aggression from the backline as the push comes in from the right side here.
Iver is being used by Seeds onto Lucas. They take the gun down really early, and then I try to apply some pressure on the cap point, but nobody really dies except people from Swift, and it's only Dr. Phil who died, so no demo for Ascent. They need to be careful about the point, but they don't really care about that. They just push on. Silentes gets 2 frags on their own, 2 people from the combo. You know, it's only Scruff in the left yard, can't really do anything. Bold push out here from Ascent, but they've managed to hold a really good hold on their last, and then it was really a clear cut for them to push out on the second, and they're making their way to middle.
Yeah, they didn't give them any room to breathe. The both scouts just immediately into lobby, chasing down the medic, chasing down everything else they could find here. Quick conversion, carrying the momentum forward with this Uber ad here, 50-60% even, all the way onto mid. That point is taken for free. How much else they can get is still up for perhaps here. Second is possible before the Uber comes in, or yard I should say. Second obviously will take a little while. They avoid the sniper cycling from most part, Gink sniping from forward spawn. Fairly standard play there, but obviously expected as much out of the blue team here, out of Ascent, to avoid that, coming in all the way to second. And with this Uber advantage, it's really hard for Swift to put up much of a fight here. So they're not really trying too hard, just some damage spammed over the point, but nothing really lethal. Counter takes a bit, but no follow-up attempt on anyone, so it will be transitioned straight into an even Uber standard on last, from one last to the other.
Yeah, because when you play against Seeds, you may have the Uber ad, but it's never gonna last long, because that guy is renowned for building his Uber maybe quicker than anyone else on the scene, and now the Ubers are even. There's a gun in the hands of Classy on the far left hand side behind the little fences, and Scruff is on sniper as well. So and he's on heavy now, so yeah, it's a pretty tough hole to break now for Ascent. They have no off classes of their own, so they're probably gonna have to send some sacks. I see Ams and Drag trying to make some space on the right hand side, trying to see if they can do anything, but Lucas is there to deny them. Lucas with 2 nice stickies get a frag onto Drag, gonna deny the push from Ascent, pull them back all the way back to the second point, and Scrub on heavy almost got a bit cocky pushing on top. He realized he didn't have to do that, and as we expected, the 2 teams just looking at each other around the same skill level. Looks like both of them are ready for that fight.
Yeah, very slow start here with the stalemate, and I kind of low-key expected Credit to just walk all the way back to forward spawn and take drag spawn to switch to sniper. Didn't happen. Scruff is patient and aware of the possibility though. Is on spy checking about to see if that's the thing that's happening. It's not the case. So at least Swift's aware that this is certainly an option that Ascent could go for, but for now they just try again here. Drag straight into last again. Catches Seeds unaware with the arrows out, needs to switch Medigan and forces in time there before he even dies. Still as well with some follow-up damage. Quick moment and just straight past the sentry gun.
Yeah, Seeds with the arrows was a little unlucky timing here. The double bomb from Silences and Drag was enough to force him. Maybe was he a little careless, I don't know, but in the end he's not gonna get caught by the same thing twice, I can assure you of that. And Swift tried to push a bit, tried to peek, tried to see if they could force the Uber after Conduct, but Conduct was really far away, nowhere to be seen for Swift, and now the push is gonna be ready for Ascent on the right hand side as you feel, and Amps getting ready, Credo is opening the way, try to see if they can deny any force, and they have to Uber, and Conduct drops Amps from that Uber. This is looking a bit bad already for Ascent. They probably have to go back. They have no pressure, no frags whatsoever. They have to go back and they have to be careful. Dr. Phil gets caught as well by, I think it was a rolling pipes from Lucas, and this is probably the window that Swift needed to push out of this last. They try to go in. Drag is in. He gets a frag onto Puppy. Almost gets something onto Seeds, or it was a splash rocket. They can't get the force, and now the Uber is ready onto Seeds, trying to be cautious not to get force. He eventually uses it. I don't really know why. I think he got scared because Scruff was weak, but that Uber looks kind of questionable. Yes, they get fear, but Conduct is already out of position, or is he? No, he's with Amps and Credo. They're in the backline, so all of three of them. What are they doing? Trying to go back from the drop down, but this is going to be really tricky for them to get out of this position. Lucas is waiting for them. He has stickies, a couple of stickies. Conduct, can he escape? No, he's on the flower bag. He's finally getting cleaned up by Scruff, and an Uber that looked questionable for Swift and Seeds just got a lot better from the wit play from Ascent.
But Amps is still behind lines and he knows who Seeds is, he's on the hunt, but there's so many people around, and there we go, Scruff finds him before damage can be done. I almost want to refuse to believe that Lucas actually knew they were drop down and just tried to deny Garrosh anyway and just got lucky there, but either way it was such a weird escape, just all the way around drop down for Ascent just getting themselves caught in way more trouble than was necessary. And Swift takes the better end of this, will have a big advantage all the way into mid and still can carry that into yard as well. You don't really want to use here into yard, it's so easy for the other team to avoid it, and with the sniper sideline as well, it's really predictable where you want to go with this most of the time. Sticky Trap not being dead in time, Seeds takes only barely any damage from it, so for the most part they can carry this all the way into yard safely and just transition it into stalemate on second instead of having to use this in here.
They're just mirroring the exact same situation. What we see right now, we saw that 2 minutes ago on the other side of the map, so now it's up to Conduct. He was swift enough to build his own Uber, and Scruff taking some space on the top side. Pappy died, I think he went for a force but couldn't really find anything, and Scruff has to fall back, but I think he's having a good game already, Scruff, and it looks like he wants a little more always, and probably will find more frags with the minutes go by, and now it's an even situation. Both teams playing this a bit more cautiously than before. We saw already a weird play from Ascent some minutes ago, and it's not really unusual for them. With Amps, they're kind of renowned for doing the weird play sometimes to throw the enemy team off. Didn't quite work out this time, and now they have to be more patient, have to wait, because this is Granary and there's not much they can do about this.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of finding a good opportunity to push on and finding some sort of advantage. Luke is really aggressive, they're all alone, each other goes unpunished for now. And speaking of advantages, they don't care at all on Swifty, they just pop straight in. They do have a banner potentially for some repush, they need a good exchange here, and for the moment, Papi gets stuck all the way in the backlines, and that's not working well with the banner strategy, I would imagine. Goes down. Otherwise, a pretty even exchange. Losing one is not too detrimental, you can still hold onto this as long as you don't allow anyone to enter for free.
And now Ascent gonna try to push back a bit, so it's rough. Dr. Phil once more dies to Lucas. Looks like Lucas is getting the better end of that demo man fight against Dr. Phil, and without a demo it's gonna be really hard for Ascent to hold that second point properly, because the stickies are so good at area denial. Conduct was already off HP, Silences died to the same stickies that we just mentioned, and now Ascent they have to go back, and that death from Dr. Phil just cost them the second point. Fortunately for them, the Ubers are almost even, but Swift, they don't care about that, they're already pushing, trying to make space. It's no demo on the other side. Phil just spawned with a nice pipe onto Scruff, probably gonna deny that push, but no, Swift, they're relentless, they're already going, they're claiming 3 frags, now it's a 5-on-3, 5-on-2 in the first round goes to Swift out of sheer aggression.
Yeah, and the keyword here was almost even, but due to the fact that Swift was the ones initiating the exchange, they just about had a slight bit more Uber here earlier than Ascent had, and despite the exchange not going well, they found the key pick onto Dr. Phil to allow for this entry and just be able to go all the way in deep and use straight interface with 10% advantage when it matters the most. Really, really clutch play there for Swift and getting an elite here 10 minutes in.
This is the second minute now. Let's see if Lucas is just confirming on that he has the advantage of a Dr. Phil. Again, even fight Ant's already been falling really weak, and the scout can do wonder on such a mid as Granary. And the double bomb coming once more from Swift this time. They do more. They have 3 frags. It's a 4-on-3, 4-on-2 now. Seeds died though to a Nash Rocket from Silente. So yeah, Condog and I think it's Credo. Yeah, they lost the mid, but they saved that Uber. So maybe that's the saving grace for them. But I think that aggression from Swift was alright, but they didn't really look out for the flank.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing with Granary middle. The moment you commit all aggressive over the point, it's pretty much what it looks like when you look at it from top. It's just a big old target for your medic that you're standing on. You make yourself so vulnerable from pretty much any side on the map to be jumped on, to be surprised by a scout suddenly from behind a crate, and you take a big risk at not getting the medic when you go aggressive on Granary middle. It's a huge detriment, as now Ascent can just try and take this advantage forward as long as there's no force happening.
Trying to walk in for free, try not to get the force onto Condog. Zerdy extremely forward. Gink in the backline to get a frag onto the flank. Trade with not trade, take the best out of track, and now Credu has to fall back himself, so it's probably a bit shaky now for Ascent. Yeah, they're gonna claim that middle point, but they have Gink behind on the paint train, and the Siege is gonna have his own Uber really soon, so they have to be careful, Ascent, not to get caught between the rock and the hard place. The rock being Gink, and the hard place being the Uber, because this is going to be extremely hard for them to lock for both side of the middle at the same time, because with all these crates it's really hard to know exactly who's where.
Credit is actually going fairly far back, and Drac as well. They're really not happy with Gink being behind. They wanted to catch him unaware, and Credit will find him, takes the fight into Garage. You know what, he really wants to die though, so it's just more of a stare down.
Drac went down, dropped down, and gets once more killed by Gink. Gink is in the head now, I can confirm. And the really nice play here from the Swift roamer, probably gonna open something up maybe for Swift, but that hole for Ascent looks strong enough not to let anyone slip through their fingers. And yes, Swift they realize that they have to go back, and they need to be careful. They have no Soldier on the flank, only Pappy is on guard duty while Gink is away. No off classes still for Ascent. Kind of a bit surprised that it doesn't look like the cookie cutter is doing any good for them right now. They look a bit shaky right now, Ascent.
Yeah, the problem is though, mid to second transition on Granary is probably about the worst area in TF2 to play sniper on. Sure, you have a decently long sideline, but it's so hard to have somebody actually commit to it into you, and or for yourself to actually go more aggressive with it as well, without just instantly being destroyed by people watching the doors patiently. So, not the greatest spot for example, Credit to go sniper here. Spy maybe a bit more so. You have a lot of doors to possibly enter from, a lot of space to just avoid people with, but it's Spy and not sniper. It's a lot more risky. It takes a lot more time consuming, and it's just not as great in comparison. Just catching people by surprise, wanting to go aggressive is a little bit of a better option here, but both Drac and Silentis don't get the entry they want to. Take so much damage before they even can reach anywhere close to Seeds and still get gunned down in the end. 2 down is a lot to ask for here for Ascent to hold on to mid with.
Scruff was the watcher on the wall and didn't let any aggression go through the medic, and now Ascent they're 2 down. They need to be careful because this fight could be really bad for them. They don't care about that, they go for a double scout Uber onto Siege, who finally uses his own Uber, but that trade looks way better for Swift now. Ascent needs to be careful, they have no positioning whatsoever. Condog left alone in the rep room against Lucas. Can Lucas get the frag? Yes, he gets the panel, gets the frag onto Condog, and now this fight is gonna go really bad for Ascent. They can't do anything. It's only Drac completely left alone with 30 HP, and yes, Seeds died, but once more a questionable play here for Ascent. I think it's one of these teams I really hate to be behind in the scoreboard, and being behind that early is kind of maybe hurting the way they want to play that map.
The silver lining for Ascent here is that Seeds was completely alone post Uber exchange, because everybody was just scrambling to find picks, and all of a sudden there was just a soldier in his face. I don't remember which one it was, but just straight onto Seeds, gets the kill immediately, makes it at least so that it's barely an Uber advantage to speak of here. Granted, they did make the last push with 10%, but that was out of a little bit more of an aggressive position here, not out of like straight stalemate, so it should be a lot harder for Swift to convert of this, so that's a saving play if there's ever been one for Ascent here to hold onto this round for now, but like you said, just holding onto this won't win them the game. It's on 1-0, but the game's already halfway done still, and they need something started here, and right now it's all on the mercy of Swift failing this last push.
Ubers are even. We see a heavy and a gun onto the side. No, not a heavy anymore. Ams was on heavy for a short time, but now he's back on the engineer. Credu on scout. Weirdly enough, you really see a scout on Granary last when the Ubers are even. You usually go for a sniper or a heavy, and I think Credu is one of these guys that know how to handle a sniper rifle, if I'm not wrong. So maybe you would look at that positioning from Kondog holding on top of the pillar. I've never seen that before, and I think the reason I've never seen that before is maybe it's not that good, so yeah, Kondog leaves that place, and we'll see what Swift have up their sleeves. They need to I mean, they don't need to make something, but at this point, there's still too much time for them to just park the bus and wait, so I'm expecting them to send some kind of stack soon enough.
Yeah, if anything, I expect a safer plays than we've seen before here. They have the time to afford just doing fairly safe plays here, just single side, stuff like that. That you don't necessarily expect to have the greatest results, but there's always a chance that you can get some people slipping here. So they just throw in Gink, see what he can do. He gets a bit of damage, but the gun throws him way out of trajectory there. Goes flying to the exact opposite of Connor, stays alive fairly safely. Now Credu tries to take this a little bit more aggressive with the sniper rifle, but can't find a great angle of approach. It sticks out on the shutter door, and he was not aware. Will get taken down here, and that will end this attempt on Ascent's end here.
That bomb from Ging actually got Kondog half HP, so maybe there's some idea to work with, and maybe if he tries again and connects a bit better the rockets, he has time to actually get the force. And now Swift getting a bit impatient, maybe they're trying to make their way onto the right hand side. Drag getting really well, he's actually getting cleaned up by rolling pipe from Lucas, and with Ging on sniper, this is exactly what they needed to make some space. They stick his hair, but they haven't seen them quite, and Dr. Fizz being aggressive. The bomb from Celeste is coming onto Lucas. Nice rocket onto the demo man, completely denying that push from Swift, and maybe Ascent will try to make their way in, because as we said earlier, not having a demo onto that second point can be really detrimental for the holding team.
A pick onto Amps is not that great for Ascent here to try to make something happen, even if Celentis gets the counter-frag here. At least they have some space still, and Ging takes so much damage. The sniper is not that threatening, but they just don't get the rest of the damage in. Ging just tanks it and gets the kill here anyway. They're still holding close on the wall, trying to just not let them get in the first place with the sniper. Credu denies it really aggressively with Celentis together. Getting Scruff helps the situation a lot. Still wants to commit all the way for the demo. Credu comes in to help, getting a lot of damage, but just always not quite enough.
And this is exactly what Granary is about, a lot of stalemate. Nice shot here from Ging onto Credu, showing who's the better sniper right now. And with that bullet in the head of Credu, maybe this is the room that Swift needed to push in. They're trying to make their way to that shutter door. Silenta is next as well, and now it's 5-on-4. Scruff is on Spy actually. They may probably to make some space for him to go in.
Ooh, Ging just walks in.
Picks on the left side, and with a body shot claims the frag and the dropper to Kondog. And that was really messy. Now Seeds is completely alone, but in the end, this is exactly
Scruff
what
is on Spy on last. No one is aware, and he's just camping this point in front of their faces. That was such a messy situation, but Swift everything right there. Before Ging even got that shot off, that was actually really good timing as well. I think that was Papi jumping in from the other side as everybody was just bunching up each other and distracting them. He just jumps in from the other side, gets the 100 and whatever it was damage in for Ging to get the 50 damage body shot in the first place. And that was so well played to begin with, and then all of a sudden there's just a Spy on top of that. No need for an uber advantage push if you just win the round outright.
And it's 2-0 for Swift now. It's getting bigger and bigger, and now Ascent, they have to react. They haven't shown really anything right now with that double wrong from Drag and Silentes once more. They get 2 frags this time. This is really good for them. Silentes kills himself eventually, but Scrub dies as well. And now Classy, it's only Lucas and sees really nice aggression from Ascent. They try to keep on going if they can claim another frag, but it looks like Lucas and Seeds are safe and sound onto their last. But really nice reaction here from Ascent, exactly what they needed.
Yeah, they struggled with it on the first mid, just the aggression wasn't good, wasn't focused, no good damage on anyone really, and people just jumping individual targets much better this time, and Swift couldn't hold against it. Seeds, however, aware of the situation, leaves early. Gink and Glick was actually fairly aggressive into the second still, trying to find some sort of damage, not sure what the big plan is here. Obviously, a force would be nice, but everybody is super aware on Ascent for the most part. Drag dies eventually, but that's a single soldier, that's not too huge a loss, or it shouldn't be at least, but for Scruff already taking the sideline here. second is just that much more uncomfortable to play still.
Oh, and both Credo and Amps going last from top. The Uber has been used by Kondok for some reason. And oh, they almost could have went to last, but now they're in the bad position. Kondok is on the ground. Can he escape? There's a heavy on the other side of the door waiting for him. Can Kondok leave? No, Lucas is on his face. Can he escape? He's getting fried again by Lucas. This is a second pad frag from
But
Lucas.
Seas also goes down. Amp just feeds on the shot door and gets the kill. Phil with him as well to get some more damage. Scruff barely staying alive. Phil needs to leave here at some point, and messy situation as it's been, but they still get the kills here. Ascent wanting to make this happen with no medics on the field, just rushing in there, jumping onto Lucas, jumping onto the Pyro. Classic goes down, Gink on the point, pipes flying all over the place, but for the moment they are getting the kills, and suddenly it's just Gink all alone at the last point, and that is it. 2-1. Ascent slowly coming back here.
Somehow won this. Amps with 1 HP and claim 2 frag will be the lowest amount of health you can be, so nice hiding seek here from the Finnish scout. But yeah, I feel like this all run was just aggression, just people from Ascent being upset and just realize we need to be more aggressive, and this is exactly what they did and what they needed. And now it's 2-1, 10 minutes. Ascent is back on that game. This is the fourth middle. Lucas going top for the first time. Can he do anything here? Just gonna wait for the arrow and the aggression from the right side from Ascent. The bomb is coming, the answer coming as well from Papi and Gink. They can't do anything here. The frags are getting traded in favor of Ascent. Siege died, no heals, only Papi now. Can he do anything against 4 players from Ascent? Amps is on his case. Amps gets the frag with the blade, and it looks like in a minute the whole momentum of that map just shifted.
Drag and Celantis absolutely destroyed Swift on the speed fight. They found the medic and the demo individually each other perfectly, just double rocketed them down from the heavens, and there was no coming back from then onward. And again, there's something to say about that. Maybe there is a chance, but it's gonna be tough. Amps going down, he's actually super detrimental for Ascent. Losing 1 player here on very last is really, really bad for the Uber coming into last with, and waiting for Amps to be back up wastes so much time that if the Uber just takes a little bit too long, Seeds will get his one in response, and Swift is just playing around that fact that they just need to stall for time here to get there on Uber. Heavy up, gun up, Sniper still in their face as well. Anything that stops this Uber from being any good now.
That's it, it's gonna be hard to break, and Gink with another headshot onto Celantis, probably gonna shut everything down, shut the operation out, and yes, Phil gets the gun from Classy, but this is not enough. They're gonna have the Uber soon, and the bomb coming from Phil. He gets the frag, he gets the drop onto Seeds with the 2 nice stickies. What a play from Phil.
That was gigantic. That was exactly what they needed. They were in a really tough spot. The moment the snipes came in from Gink onto entering players, it was pretty much curtains for a good Uber ad push. So you just had to settle with something here, and they just weren't ready for the sudden demo bomb into last, and they just want to make this happen quickly. And you don't even have Dr. Phil on this push right now. Who cares if you have the soldier shooting the gun anyway? Playing the point with the Uber, not any kills gotten yet though. And Amp goes down fairly quickly. Point is being blocked by everything Swift has, and it might just be enough.
What a crumble from Ascent. They got the frag onto Seed. They thought they had this in the bag, but that Uber was terrible, horrible, awful Uber from Ascent. And Swift, all they had to do was stand in the high ground and just spam everyone out at that fight, and nothing was done here. I think Amps made maybe a bit of a mistake playing the point instead of going for the frags, but what's done is done. And the Swift, they hold somehow Amps on spy, trying to make a man for himself, but that push
almost
was
bumped into him. I don't think he noticed. I think he bumped into the crate instead, and just isn't aware of the spy here. Amps still behind lines, not too concerned about the medic, just wants to back up it seems. No, actually just wraps all the way around. So he wants in fact a big kill here, wants to get corner safety to Zuba where Seeds will have none, but they need to stop him coming in mid in first place.
We almost got the force, but Siege with the naval Siege eventually uses. Why? I think that arrow maybe from Conduct forces him out, but it looked like he was safe, but no. Siege decided to use, and this is huge for Ascent now, because they got the force, they're gonna have their own Uber, and it's gonna be a 5-on-3 for them. So somehow, once more, the situation complete turnaround in favor of Ascent, and they really don't, they can't beat that push now. This is a one-time opportunity for them to make it back into that game, to make it a 2-2, and they're just walking in that second point confidently. There's a sticky trap from Lucas trying to slow them down. Seeds already for the percent. Scruff is gonna get a gun ready on last. Swift, they're ready to make another hold, another undoable hold happen, but Ascent this time they don't give them any time. They're just going in on Amps. The Uber is being used onto him and Dr. Phil. They get the frag. Now they're trying to go for anything else. Amps one more, try to play the pawn, but the stickies were there. But Phil and Credo are there to claim any frag. It's a 5-on-4 now, 4-on-4. It's only everybody's weak onto us, and can they make it happen? Sid's still there with the heals, uses his Uber, and once more Ascent Beef is beefs a push, and I feel like Ams did the exact same mistake as he did earlier, playing the point instead of going for the frags.
Yeah, he plays the point too early, and they really need the frags. They don't do anything with the Uber besides getting the gun. While it's a decent start, you need some damage to actually play off at the end, and just standing on a 6 dying for nothing is not quite the play to make. Amsterdam want to block again, just trying to see if they can do anything on second, but it's not gonna happen. Seeds with decent advantage, not anything huge, but 20% might just matter enough here. Coming into mid, still 2 down for Ascent. Make that 2 down on Swift. Nobody checking for the traps in time. You just want to have one person lead and the second one coming in after the sticks have been called if there are any, but looks like Swift's getting ahead on themselves, and they really don't need to. They have the lead here. They have the advantage in terms of Uber. They can play a little bit more relaxed. They don't need to rush things. They play the way Ascent should be right now, but now Ascent has such a safe position to play off. As I say that, Lucas gets the sticky trap kill, almost 2, still just barely staying alive. Almost making the same mistake in return here. Gink will get taken down in return though, so they still have a kill to play off, even without a demo man. A lot harder now, but they don't have many choices left to them.
And the Ubers are even. Classy is getting a gun on last look, and Swift is already giving up, but no, Lucas with 2 nice pipes gets another drop onto Condog, and Classy switches off to Scout, and this look, both these teams are getting a bit carried away, hence maybe the little mistakes here and there, but I say little, these mistakes are pretty big, and at this level, DuMmTm, I don't think Ascent can afford to make such big mistakes in a row.
Yeah, Connor just caught off guard with the arrows in the shutter door, not the place for Medic to be. Not a good game if you're Medic today, it seems. Both Medics having some uncharacteristic mistakes, or characteristic if you're Connor, I would say. But either way, it's just mistakes on the Medics piling up right now that just keep making this game trade back and forth, and they keep testing each other's Medics. As the high bomb comes in by Salemtis Dragon as well, gets the force fairly easily. Drag for now stays alive, gets sandwiched between Gink and Scruff on the Uber, so nothing much he can do. Ams realizes he's pretty much dead there. Accepts his fate with the death on Lucas's hands, and that's enough for him to do that. So 3 on the sack, will get the force. Good enough to get an Uber advantage out of it, but still a lot of space lost here. Mid will go to Swift and Jarl as well, if not second as well here, but people are slowly spawning, so there's a chance for Ascent to hold on to the second point, and they desperately need to.
Yes, desperate is the word, DuMmTm. It's only 4 minutes and 20 seconds left now, so with that little time remaining, they need to be efficient with their push-outs, which they haven't been so far. So they need to figure out the key component that they're missing right now. They're trying to take Ascent the right yard. They're doing it so, and Swift they just give it away. They don't really care. They know now that all they have to do is waste as much time as they can and get better trades if they can. They're just holding on the high ground into the middle fight now. Arms already falling really weak. He can't commit to that fight. And Ascent now, either they go for a sack right now or they go for a trade. But Arms dies once more. Lucas is having a really good game. Looks like he's hitting every pipes he has to, and this is really making all the difference now for Swift. Credo dies as well. No scouts in the hands of Ascent. They have to fall back, and they can't really afford to do that now, because with only 3 minutes and 30 seconds, this little time the clock is ticking for Ascent, and they can't. I don't think losing that first map was a plan for them. The bomb coming from Papi gets a nice rocket onto Condog, who has to use, and Sinetis eventually forces the Uber out of seeds, but Condog once more completely left alone. He tried to surf away, he's going behind, gets piped. Can he survive? He can't, but in the end that trade just goes once more in favor of Swift, who's getting the better end of every even situation.
Yeah, Ascent is just trying to create chaos. They constantly have things behind. In this case, Bob's just try to wrap around that, but it's just still not enough. Swift is very aware. Amps on Spinal, desperate times, kicking in really hard for Ascent here. Random spy in the middle of a non-stalemate situation is always really risky, because if you don't get anything, you're just not a player that is actively taking part in fights right now. So he needs to act quickly here, not just in general with the time ticking down, but also with Swift slowly taking space off the map now.
And he's not even close, he's just gonna walk in disguise. Classy is there, Classy knows, and he gets a frag onto Amps, and I think this is the nail in the coffin for Ascent. There's 2 minutes for them. They have to go all the way back from their last to Swift's last and make it around. This is going to be really tricky for them, especially when you're 3 down. And I think this is it. DuMmTm Swift pushing once more onto last. Condog jukes as much as he can, but he can't jukes. Definitely Sinetes only one to guard the realm of Ascent, and that realm has fallen. And Swift is probably going to take that map now.
Yeah, this is most certainly a victory, but there's still barely enough time left to make it happen. It can technically get around in about a minute, so if this is like the fastest rounds possible, maybe. And they had some good mid fights where they did get some quick kills, so it's not impossible, but it needs to be perfect from here on out, and that's just so hard to do.
Needs to be clinical now for Ascent. 1 minute 40 seconds. Lucas under high ground for Swift. Try to set dominance onto Dr. He does that really well. The bomb coming from Drac and Silentis. Nice bomb here. They claim 2 frags, 3 frags now, but it's 3 on 3. Sits, Gink, and Scruff against Credo, Arms, and Condog. Can they win a little with MG fight? And Gink is just going to slow things down on top of the middle, on top of that crate. He doesn't have to commit to anything. He eventually leaves, and with Seeds alive, safe and sound with almost his own Uber. This looks really tricky now. I don't think there's enough time for them. Ams going left side completely alone. He's just giving up on Condog. He doesn't care anymore. I think he's just going to, at this point, just freeing his mind, trying to get over it and move on to the second map.
Yeah, this is pretty much a done deal, and they must have realized by now, if not any earlier. So it's just a matter of what you can take away from this game as either of these teams. And for Ascent, they just need to not make such glaring mistakes. I can understand them wanting to play risky, but there's a limit to how much you can do, at which point it just becomes silly and just throwaway plays that you can't honestly expect to work, and there were just a few too many. Swift themselves still had a few mistakes here, but they were a lot more preventable since they weren't necessarily just choices made by themselves as it was by Ascent. Ascent just made some questionable choices at times, and I really didn't understand. Swift themselves just had some mistakes happening where they were just caught unaware. Seeds had to force a drop, even sometimes where it really shouldn't happen, and that just made all the difference here.
And I can't help but recall that play from Ascent when both Ams and Credu dragged Condog all the way back to Swift yard when the Uber was pushed. That was a weird play, and of course, if it works, it's genius. But doing such risky play that early into a game is probably not the best idea, and maybe that's what gave Swift the lead into that game. But yeah, this is first map, not third map. Maybe it's an omen, who knows. But Swift takes it 3-1 against Ascent. I don't know who saw that coming. I certainly didn't. And Swift in the driving seat now, it's probably gonna do them a lot of good. And I think we're gonna take a look at some logs now.
Yeah, the game was certainly interesting. Logs might tell us some things we missed here and there, but other than that, this was already a great start to the series. Let's hope it continues as close as it was here.
And I'm curious to see how Lucas fared, because to me he had a stellar game, and I see the numbers, and I can't help but be backed by these numbers. Look at him going 23 for 11 with a nice 10k damage, just the best DPM on that server. And yeah, I think that his one-on-one duel with Dr. Phil was probably one of the things that resonated the most to me, because look at the numbers from Phil, really looking bleak compared to the one of Lucas.
What is more impressive than that, even, I would say, is that he only had 11 deaths, which is one of the lowest deaths on the server, coupled with the fact that he still played this aggressive demo man. He took about the most damage on his team, I think. Yeah, he did. Only Silentis took more damage on the server, while taking the most heals in the game in general by like a 1k margin, about a little bit more than that even. So like, he played this. I mean, the name speaks for itself, Lucas Tank. He just took all the damage, led all the charges, and made it work for him without getting punished for it. They really play this like lead demo man really, really efficiently here, and it not leading to the demo dying, it speaks volumes to how well they do it.
And remember one of the things we mentioned when going through the rosters, we said how we don't really know who's going to be pocket scout between Credo and Ams, because throughout the season Ams has been the regular pocket scout for Ascent. Looks like it wasn't the case on this map, and from the looks of it, Ams had a really, really rough game.
Yeah, the scouts just were not in good positions a lot of the time. Same with Credo. Sure, he might have a positive KD compared to like some of the other players. I think the Soldiers technically had worse KDs, but it just felt like both Ascent scouts were just in random spots a lot of the times, where they might get away with some cheeky kills here and there, but it just didn't mean much in the like grand scheme of the game, and in the end, it just didn't get them anywhere.
And I wonder what we're gonna see on that second map from Ams and Credo. Are they gonna swap once more? Because you can't really expect to win a map when you go playing like that. We saw Ams going for a lot of plays a lot of the times where the situation wasn't really calling for it. So I don't know if that's something they had planned beforehand, maybe threw off a bit Swift, or if this is just I mean, you can't have a good game all the time, so maybe this is one of these bad games, and it happened at the bad timing for AMS, and he's gonna rise from the ashes on Snakewater. But probably one of the key points to look out for Ascent on that second map. How's AMS and Credo? How are they gonna fare against the Classy and Scruff? Because Scruff, on the other hand, had a really strong start of the map on Granary, and when you're a scout and you start strongly, it's really hard to get taken down because you have that confident boost, and it's really hard to, when you finish the shots, it's really hard. You don't miss them basically.
Yeah, next map is going to be interesting as well, because what I would say that Snakewater is much of a better map for Ascent here. The results are technically not really in their favor. Sure, they might have beaten 7 on it last season, but recently it's not been that hot. Taking a really close game against the now dead team Monkey Mode, as well as almost taking it to the old cap against you guys on Feint. So the results have not been too hot on this map either, compared to where Granary also wasn't, as you said, not that much of their favorite map. I do still think it's the better map for them, though, despite like recent results, that they do play a better Snake than they do on Granary. If it comes down to it, they can just fall back to emergency Credo sniping, which will definitely have much bigger of an impact on this map than on Granary. So that option is entirely there, and Ascent is definitely one of the strongest teams to play around a sniper. Not just have a sniper in general that is good, which obviously any team would benefit from a Credo sniper on their team, but also the rest of the team knowing what to do with it and playing around it fairly well is a huge factor on top of that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like, so yes, SVIFT won, but maybe a bit unfair when I said that, but it went down a lot because of not AMS but Ascent in general. Like, I think Ascent had a bad game, and this is probably why. I mean, just SVIFT just took the opportunity and brought it home. So props to them, of course. But this isn't what Ascent showed us throughout the whole season. So I'm fairly sure they can do better than that. And I mean, they have really experienced players. They have Drag, they have Silentus, they have Phil, they have AMS, and I hope they got a talk during the 2 maps to fix things, because I'm pretty sure this isn't really what they were hoping for, and we'll see what happens. But okay, we talked a lot about Ascent. Let's talk a bit about SVIFT before that second map starts. Basically, SVIFT capitalized on the mistake from Ascent really well.
Yeah, capitalizing off of mistakes that are like obvious mistakes is always important. Minor mistakes you can sometimes just miss, but there was enough stuff going on with Ascent that was not good that it would be so many wasted opportunities to not capitalize on. It should be interesting to see how this plays on this map as well. Like you said, everybody did fairly well on SVIFT for the most part. Numbers-wise, obviously, Lucas and Scruff being like leading players here. The soldiers were efficient enough so that people could capitalize off of them. Mid-fights will be a big difference, though, because Granary is a much different story in a bit than is Snakewater, and soldiers can still have a huge impact, but you need to play differently about it. You can definitely play aggressive mids, you can play passive mids, and Ascent had a tough start to the mid fight, but eventually the aggressive mids were a lot better than SVIFT could handle. So we'll see how they approach these, where SVIFT started off fairly passive on the mids, but eventually was forced to aggress a lot at the point. It will be interesting to see how this matchups here.
And what I like right now, like both teams, they're all 6 on the servers, but the game still doesn't start, and I want to believe that it's Ascent taking the time to take a breather, gather their spirits, gather their cool, and try to go back into the second map with a better mindset. Because momentum is so important, especially in the playoff series where you don't really want to. Losing a map is so bad in itself already, especially when you're supposed to be the favorite. So everything is going against Ascent on that first map. So I hope they're taking that time to reassess what they want to do, and I wonder if this is going to break SVIFT momentum as well, because when you win and you hope for things to go as quick as possible on the second map so you can capitalize on your momentum, on the just feeling good about the game, because the way you play is really heavily influenced by how you think about the game, about what your mindset is, and it's going to be interesting to see. The first few minutes of a map can be really telling of what's happening in everybody's head.
Yeah, definitely. Mentality is always a huge thing. You need to be focused. You can't get too caught up in a negative without completely dismissing it, because otherwise you will make the same mistakes over and over again. Let's see if Ascent falls into that trap or if they can overcome it.
And this is the second map of the upper bracket, round 1 between Ascent and SVIFT. SVIFT won the first map and they're 1 map away to join 7 on the winner bracket final. And now Phil and Lucas once more facing each other onto that middle fight. The bomb coming already from Silentes and Drag. They get Lucas, but this is everything they got. Anything else is alive for SVIFT. Gink died, I think he was bombing Condog and he got the frag anyway, so it's a really good trade for him. And now it's only Amps, rare side, Amps being the last one to survive. Maybe this is telling of something changed for Ascent. In the end, mid for SVIFT, but both medic died, so it's gonna be a reset probably on the second point.
It was a bit lucky though, because they immediately lost 3 people trying to go forward on the left side, just got completely bunched up and completely destroyed for it, losing almost half the team straight away and just barely getting seats there in the end because people avoided damage different ways, seats alone towards choke where everybody else went. So getting fortunate on Amps' end, and even he beefed some shots at the end of that too. So close one in the end here for Ascent, and SVIFT doesn't want to give them any time to breathe. Scruff gets denied really hard though, and everybody else just bunches up back into choke, wants to leave this as quickly as they can without dying. Not happening. Good avoidance there of any more consequences of the failed push into second, and getting credit for it makes it hard for Ascent to do any more now.
Yeah, nice effort here from Credu, but Papi had the read and with a nice spam rockets got the frag onto Credu. But we were talking about momentum, and just after they got the mid, SVIFT just tried to push in straight in from grass without any kind of advantage whatsoever. So this is probably what we talked about, how momentum can do a big part, plays a big role in how you play the game. And now Ubers are even. Scruff, he's on Spy once more, and he's gonna try probably to go for a player. Last time we saw Scruff on Spy, he got the back cap, but this time Gink isn't here to back him up onto Sniper. So you mentioned that earlier, when you have a Spy, the more time you wait, the more obvious it gets that you have a Spy. So Scruff will have to act quickly with the help of his teammates.
The good thing is here that the Spy play is the first thing they do, which oftentimes is not the case. Oftentimes people just want to not have to rely on the Spy and only bust it out when they really need to, as we've seen with Amps a few times in the last game. So SVIFT might be getting lucky here, but you need to still put on pressure, and they are. Lucas tries to damage people from Saw, and Scruff wants to take opportunity. Oh, he's coming from behind!
Yanklo behind the crate, and he got the frag onto Condog, and everybody from Ascent was completely oblivious to that early Spy from SVIFT, and it was hard to expect because this is rarely the first play you go for when you have an even situation. But Scruff read that perfectly, got the frag onto Condog, and he just opening things up for SVIFT. They're gonna go onto the lobby area, gonna take a sweet Uber advantage push onto probably the shutter door. Scruff still on Spy, not the best situation now, but Uber is being used. There's a sniper in the door, so the flash is coming onto Lucas and Classy. Can they get anything done? They actually don't get anything done, not positioning whatsoever. The bomb coming extremely late, the gun is there to deny everything. Classy dies, the counter bomb from Drag, almost got a nice rocket onto Papi, I think.
Scruff still gets the medic though, seat size to the pistol. They didn't see him coming, and he even zapped the sentry in front of everybody. They still run the world. Silver lining for SVIFT here to keep playing off. Silentes jumps deep. Gets so much damage into seats, but there's no one else to get any more damage. And SVIFT is able to catch a break here. They just didn't know what to do with the Spy on last, it seems. They wanted to make a standard push, but they couldn't. They had the Spy. If anything, the Spy probably should be the one playing the point. What else are you really gonna do if you can't really catch people by surprise? But this, I guess, is the next best thing. Just rinse and repeat and try with another advantage push.
That first Uber push from SVIFT was really, let's say, kind of bad. Didn't get any positioning and didn't get any frags, but once more the saving play from Scruff, giving once more his team an advantage, an edge, and the push coming extremely deep onto the left side. Lucas almost dies, but the beam caught him just at the right second, right moment to save him from the death. But once more that push from SVIFT didn't do anything. They losing 4 people now. It's only Classy seats completely alone onto Cheese. I doubt he can survive that against Credu. He eventually kills himself, and this is now 2 pushes in a row from SVIFT that don't accomplish anything.
I vividly remember seeing this week 1 for SVIFT as well. That's a mistake they made all the way back almost 2 months ago at this point, where they just all bunch up on the same side of the last point, nothing on the flank that splits Ascent's attention. So they can just all focus on the people crossing point together, and it makes it so much easier for Ascent to stop this last push here. Gink trying to deny people coming into mid similarly, but also not having any success with his missed sniper shot. And you don't have much time until the damage piles up in front of you on the shutter door. And
yeah, it's really hard for him to get anything done. He backed back spawn all the way to the second spawn. He has the door open, and I don't know if Ascent expect that yet. They've seen him. Pappy died as well. I think he was trying to bomb in. I don't really catch it, but in the end, he didn't do anything with that death. And Sid's really efficient building, already 70%. I doubt Ascent can push in time with that Uber ad before Sid's get his own Uber, so they have to wait now because there's a gun as well from Classy between the truck and the crates on the right side. And Ascent, they will have to be careful now. They're gonna wait for amps, and they're gonna see if they can do anything to break that hold. But once more, Swift did the right thing, wasting as much time as they can, and Ascent were not quick enough to make use of that ground.
Well, Scruff took his sweet time to spy check there and ends up going Pyro, which is surprising because on the other hand, he must have seen the Kurdo sniper, so that's not necessarily the off-class you'd expect in the situation, but whatever they think this does probably will have to be good, right? Because otherwise, why would he pull up the Pyro against the sniper? Anyway, Credu, speaking of sniper, is here and ready to hit some shots. Didn't get much of an opportunity last map, maybe a bit more so here. They have the time to do it for sure. This is still a tied up game right now, tied at nothing for each team. And Credu just taking sweet time to charge up the shots and just wait for something to come his way instead of making the first move himself.
Interesting gun positioning here from Classy, just in the middle, in the open, ready to deny anything. And there's a Pyro as well in the hands of Scruff, so no scout to deny potential jumpers. But the gun is there to do that, and he does that exquisitely onto Drac and Silencers, who can't do anything. They can't come close to Seeds, and Silencers lives eventually, but now they have to rely onto Credu to hit that really sweet headshot that they really, really need.
Ooh, I think as well the sentry spot covers the drop down. Credu can barely peek in without getting shot immediately by the sentry gun of Classy, so that might actually be the right spot to put it here, even if it's a bit more spammable than on other spots. It just covers everything.
You may be right. I'm not really a sentry gun expert, but it looks like that gun is actually indeed looking at that drop down, ready to interrupt the peak from Credu. Credu, who's making his way to drop down, he's waiting for Phil to deny anyone who could be there. He's going for the hero shot, but the gun is there, and he can't get the frag onto Seeds, and now Ascent will have to fall back from the lobby. The aggression coming from Lucas on the left hand side, but he can't do anything else but pull back everybody from the center. This is probably what he was looking for, but Lucas getting a bit greedy here, maybe trying to go in. He gets the frag onto Phil, and Lucas is really getting the better end of those fights against Dr. Phil, and is showing who's the better demo man of the server tonight. And now there's 2 frags for Ascent and Swift. They maybe can push, they maybe can try for the force onto Condog. Condog is already 100 HP onto the second point, and Swift, they're making their way onto the second point. I think Kink is behind, he's on room, he gets a nice rocket onto Credu, who survives, and this is enough for Ascent to hold that second point once again. But nice try here for Swift. They didn't commit that much. They tried to see if they could do anything. They couldn't, so they went back.
Yeah, it's really important to not overcommit into snake second with not good enough an opportunity. It's so easy to lose a round on second instead of being actually pushed to last. Ascent, however, still need to actually make something. They can't rely on that, and they try desperately to just walk people in left and right still, and Amps try to take some space. They get a good amount of damage on people, but it's still not enough. The gun still doesn't allow them to go any further than they did in the end, so Seed stays safe for the most part. And I'm yet to understand what the Pyro is really supposed to do here, besides maybe Erbla's stuff away for the medic, but I don't know. I think Scruff sees it similarly and just spy checks instead to see what's going on. And Credu didn't even die on Sniper, so nothing new here.
Yeah, a nice surf saved Credu from despair and death, and managed to escape that nice rocket from Gink. And yeah, Credu again on Sniper didn't really popped off as we know he can do. And both teams being pretty patient. This is a bit new for we saw Ascent being kind of impatient on that first map, so maybe this is one of the things they talked about to switch, to change for them to have a better chance onto that second map. The aggression trying to go from under, but the rocket from the sentry gun claimed the frag onto Silencers. Credo is still there, still picking to see if anyone's getting greedy, and Gink is getting greedy, but no, that was Pappy, but Pappy escapes. And Credo once more can't really claim any shots. He got some nice headshot, but not enough to get any frags, and Ascent still to look for an opportunity here. But it looks like Swift, they're comfortable holding that way for as long as they have to.
Yeah, the sentry gun is just being such a thorn in Ascent's side. They just can't get past it, and they can't even get the damage in to force it in the first place, or force it, destroy it in the first place, I should say. And that's really surprising, because it's fairly found in the open, but everybody making sure that everybody who tries to damage it has to commit deep enough to be in a really tough spot from then on out. So, well done there by the team, and Classy, I think, specifically, for this Gunsport to work out as well as it does. Credo again just has to peek aggressively through Shutter, and it doesn't get rewarded at all. Gink a bit too ambitious there, but Scruff comes in to help out the situation, gets the force with that.
Yeah, Condog fell to 20 HP, he had no other choice but to use, and that pyro play from Scruff, we were wondering what it was used for, and this is what it was used for. This is 40 chess from Scruff here. He played pyro all the time just for that single play, and it worked out. But is the Uber enough for Swift to push out of their last? I don't think so. This is extremely risky for them to push out because they have such a hold setup already, but Swift, they don't care about that. Looks like they want to make their way through maybe the lower area, or Lucas is just peeking maybe. I don't think they can wait much longer before going in. Scruff, the Uber is being used onto Lucas really early. Can they catch Condog out of position? It doesn't look like it. Condog is already safe almost, but Scruff is thirsty for blood. He has to go back though, and Swift, they're gonna get some position onto second point. But Arms on Spy, he's in lobby, he's going maybe for Seeds, but Seeds look like maybe he saw him. Did he call him? I think he has. And Arms, there's nothing he can do, but nice play here from Seeds, getting the cool head to turn around, and now Ascent tried to go back in, but Condog died to Rocket from Gink. Gink with another frag onto Drag, and that player from Ascent looked like he missed a bit of communication between the Arms on Spy and the rest of his teammates.
Yeah, Amps got spotted straight away in lobby, bumped into Gink, so they knew the entire time the Spy was there. He couldn't go for the backup, and the stab was hard to do as well, but they didn't even wait for the advantage there. They just wanted to rush this into second with effectively 5 players. Not having Amps scout there hurt a lot, and this push just went absolutely nowhere for Ascent. Rushing this in before the advantage comes into play, getting punished greatly for losing mid as well as second, and might even get to the other second point as well, as the EU advantage is still significant enough for Swift here.
And now Swift making their way onto the second point. They have a sizable Uber advantage, but the drop from Phil with the sticky trap gets a frag onto Seed. This is huge here from the Danish demo, and maybe Ascent now will be able to fight back onto the second point. Of course they are able to go back, and there's no heal still on the side of Swift, so this is now the opportunity for for Ascent to push back in slowly but surely. They're going catwalk, and they're going to make their way onto the middle point. Arms taking the high ground, denying both Lucas and Gink. What a play from Arms, getting the frag onto the demo man, and this is the clean entry that Ascent needed to go in. Pappy did as well to a little pistol play from Credu, and with the 80% Uber rad for a Condog over Seed, this is the perfect timing now for them to push and to finally eventually claim a round.
It might just be enough this time. They have advantage to last, and maybe they can teach Swift some things about how to push the Swift advantage. If they're fast enough, the gun is not built properly yet. Goes down fairly quickly. Classy, the engineer still has to switch off to something else, and the push comes straight over the point. Amps wants to cap it straight away. Lucas wants to deny it. Get some kills with it too, in fact, off the back of that. Makes it an even fight all along here, and Scruff and Papi need to do that honest to get past these scouts, but for the moment they might as well just do it.
And no, you know why? Because the arrows are fairly balanced, and they just kept Scruff alive forever and ever, even though it was really weak. Nice play here from Seeds. Kind of a failed push a bit for Ascent. They probably could have done better if they were a bit more, if they waited a bit more. But Uber is being used once more onto Africa by Seeds. Get the frag onto field. This is good for them, but Ascent,
2 people in the back
they're not
lines.
happy. There's a back cap going from Credo and Track, and they get the frags. They win this.
They just
but
barely
no!
don't.
The cap in a split second, they almost got the round, but no, the cap into second was completed, and no, can they still win this? It's a 3-on-3. Everybody's weak onto that server, and no, this is a play. Maybe they can do it with the arrows. Drag behind, but he can't do anything. He's 9 HP. He has to be helped. But Silenta said Condog doesn't look like they want to go in. That was so close from both sides.
That was incredible for all the wrong reasons, and eventually Swift takes it right out with the health just barely bad enough on the Ascent, and they had to use Liberty block that as well. So in the end they lost still a lot of stuff that was going for them at the beginning of this to make this happen, and it just barely didn't work out. Lucas might just overextend, that doesn't get saved by Seeds, drops the play intentionally to just keep the Uber up. He doesn't want to use for this point, doesn't feel like he needs to for the moment. He really doesn't. Gink still goes down as well, but trades it out at least. So for the moment, you're not using here works out, but as much progress as they're making, Ascent is still around the corner, ready to strike if they feel like it, and looks like they just barely chose not to here. So Seeds making the right call here, and it's hard to say that while it's still happening, but in retrospect, certainly the right decision.
Indeed, not using until Lucas probably owed him a little of his calling, but anyway, that was the correct play here from Seeds, and it's given them the mid. And now Swift, they're trying to make their way through that Sorum, try to see if they can walk in But the more this game goes on, DuMmTm, it feels like it's getting more and more depressing for Ascent. They're trying a lot of stuff. They almost capped, yeah, that's the word. Capped the last point, but it didn't really. It looks like nothing is really working their way tonight. But there's still 40 minutes and 50 seconds. Half of the map has been played already, and it was really even. I feel like Ascent maybe has a little of an edge, but as I said, I recall the last two pushes from Swiss that were completely wasted by them. So both teams had their shot to take a round already. Both teams kind of wasted it. So now it's gonna be about staying in that game and figuring different things. And Ascent is gonna wait on that second point to see what Swift has in store for them.
Yeah, and for once, since the last time we've been on Ascent's last, this game actually slows down a little bit for once here, and both teams can take a moment to actually try to figure out what to do next here without it just being thrown into a situation again. So let's see what they have in store. This time it's King on Sniper, so it's worth trying to pick up the off-classes here and trying to contest Ascent in basically their game with the Sniper, but none to be found just yet. Let's see if Ging can pick it up for his team.
Yeah, Ging just rocket jumped all the way back to his own last just to pick up the sniper rifle, and I wouldn't say it wasn't lucky on ground with the sniper, but it wasn't as shiny as he's shown that it could be. So maybe he kept some of it in store for this map. We've seen him drop Conduct once already on that first map, but he had Scruff playing as distraction as spy as well, so maybe that is what he needed. Now he's peeking through the spam coming from Widow from Silentis to prevent that from going, but King doesn't care about that. Still in gets a frag onto Drac, who was walking around cheese, and now this is what Gink needed. There's one less rocket to be spammed at him if he wants to go for a hero shot. He's going window while the rest of his team's going onto Ubers are being traded. This looks like a bad trade for Swift because they lost Lucas and they have a sniper in their hand, so maybe Ascent, if they're being aggressive, they can win that fight. It doesn't look like they want to be, and Gink it's really far back actually. It's probably there's a room for Ascent if they want to go in. Pappy getting caught out of position in storeroom, and maybe now Ascent can go in, but no, King with a nice headshot onto Credo, denying probably the push, but they don't care about that. Ascent, they're already in, the bomb coming. King, City's extremely weak. Can he survive? He's getting spammed out. He survives, but someone is behind him. This Silentis getting the frag onto City, almost survived, but in the end he did not. And I would have never thought I would say that, but other than that Massified, Conduct survived and Sids died.
Yeah, that was really strange. The whole exchange didn't start well. We once said that was the right choice to make, to just drop Lucas in a situation like this, but this time with the sniper, you just don't have the damage classes left anymore without the Towerman, and it's just too big a loss. He is Connor playing safer on the sideline, doesn't play safer on the spy though.
Pappy's behind him. He's gonna get backstab again. No, he turned around this time because he knows Pappy. He knows Pappy like the back of his own pocket. They played together for so long now. There's no Pappy to full Conduct anymore, and this is an Uber ride for Conduct. And Ascent, they're probably gonna try to go onto the left side. Ams is already in. He's scouting for off classes. He saw the gun. He saw the heavy, and Ascent, they're trying to go in now. They're also weak already. They have to use an early Uber. Can they get it down? They get the gun down, but the gun gets filled back. So this is already so bad for Ascent. They probably have to go back to the heavy. Class is getting mulched by a nice bomb here from Silentis, who dies in return, but this is enough for him. And now this is a 4-on-4, 4-on-3 now. And Sweets is far away from his own Uber. It's only Lucas and Seeds against 4 players. Can they win this? No, they can't. And finally, Ascent wins that round. It's 1-0 for Ascent, and they took their time, but what a round for them.
Yeah, and you complained about the heavy surviving too long last time. This time Ascent had the focus fire on pretty much everybody. The moment something got damaged, it just died immediately. And that's exactly what you need in a situation like this. You can't spread out the damage too much, otherwise you just waste so much time that Seeds might just get the Zuba again. And this was exactly what they needed here. Nice focus fire, take down everything in time, and by the time it was only the demo left alive, he already kited this way too far back. So well done there by Ascent getting the first round here.
And somehow winning with a Phil getting dropped from the Uber really early. Oh, nice shot here from Silentis onto, I think it was, Silentis onto Lucas, gets a nice air shot here. And it's a 2-on-3 already. It's just looking bad for Ascent now. They have to go back after that first round. Do they have to fall back all the way back to the last? Probably have this. Look at Swift, they're thirsty. They're going in. They're trying to see if they can defrag onto Conduct, but they can't. And now they have to fall back probably. Pappy is on last, getting the jump in, but he can't find Conduct, who was on the other hand of the spawn door. And now they're falling back, but nice reaction, nice min here from Swift. They don't have anything, no cap time at all, and maybe Ascent will be able to fall back, to fight back onto that mid, but at least they're in the driving seat on that second round.
Yeah, that's what Swift needs. And Ascent looking a little bit linear on these mid-fights. Again, just going over left straight into Saw, trying to get all the damage up as quickly as possible while going deep. And while they certainly did get the kills, as last time as well has been seen, just so bunched up that they all take the same damage as well. Papi tries to make a play here into second to end the stalemate, and at least ends his life, but not much else, so stalemate was still intact.
And maybe if they didn't see Swift didn't chase that hard on the last, maybe they would have claimed the second point, but what's done is done. And Drac is in, gets one rocket onto Seeds, can't get anything else. Credu also tried to go in from kitchen, but he couldn't get any space and had to fall back instead of dying. And now it's up to Swift to make something happen. Didn't really quite work their way the last time on Cookie Cutter Lighthouse, and then Gink went for the saving play on Sniper, so maybe they will try this again, but they have less time to do that now. It's 9 minutes if they want to win that fight. The Uber is being used, the Ubers are being traded, but it looks better for Ascent now. They have a longer Uber, but they can't take that fight because they have poor positioning compared to the one of Swift with the soldiers on the high ground, so it's gonna be a reset now. Seeds has 7% ad, but I don't think this is enough to push from.
Yeah, let's see what they want to play off here, because if you take an exchange like this, you need some other plan, otherwise it's just not gonna work in anyone's favor, really. As we see right now, no one's really got anything out of this, and Swift was the one initiating, so all the more surprising that they don't seem to have much more of a plan here beyond just getting the exchange. Expect something to happen either directly post-Uber or just in the non-Uber situation afterwards. It's just looking like they're fairly content just having lost anything in this exchange so far.
Well, maybe they're not as comfortable as usual as playing aggressive tonight, in the sense so this time they just settled for a reset, and they're just gonna wait for Swift to make something happen. Maybe they're confident enough to be the better team to win those trades fights. Papi maybe trying to go onto a storeroom, but it's gonna be hard for him to get Kondog, who's just chilling behind the logs, waiting for someone to jump him. But with the Arms and Credu just being there waiting for the jumping soldiers to be denied, it's gonna be tough for both Papi and Gink to do anything. And look at Swift, they're all just stacking that left hand side. Only Gink is somehow on the right side, so maybe there's a flank play actually possible for Ascent. But if you're Ascent now, it's really tricky to think about pushing up, because one mistake and it's around. Ubers are being traded onto Lucas for Swift and Ams for Ascent. Can they get anyone? No, they can't catch anyone. They all far back already. But no, they get Gink onto the exact same flank I was mentioning, and now maybe this is the window that Ascent needed to push in. But look at them, they're all falling back. They don't want to go in, they don't want to take any risk.
Yeah, and Ascent doesn't need to do much here anymore as long as they can play safe, and with one pick it's not that safe a play to make, so it seems like they are content with just waiting for that opportunity, which works for Swift because at least it doesn't get them in any worse spot than they're already in, which at least is also only in, even with stalemate on mid, could be a lot worse, but obviously none of these plays so far have gotten them anywhere, and time is ticking against them slowly but surely. They're now in the opposite situation they've been on in Granary, and now they have to be the receiving end of this.
But I'm confused that Swift doesn't even try to go for sack plays. They just go for straight trades and see what happens. And now they're trying to go for a different plays. They're trying to go from grass. There's a sticky trap waiting for Seeds to walk in. And can he get anything? Oh, Phil is greedy. He could have gotten Lucas 3 times. Oh, that Lucas survives with 4 HP, and he lives, but that was a bit greedy here for Phil. Maybe he could have gotten Lucas a bit more early, and Ams tried to go for Force onto Seed, but he got cleaned up by Gink. And without a scout now, maybe it's time for Force or another trade. Why not? The ball Phil gets dropped once more by Condor, and this is happening way too many times now. If you're Ascent, yeah, if you want to win this fight, you can't drop your demo. And it worked once on last, but it's not gonna work again. And now it's gonna be maybe an opportunity for Swift to push in. Yet they go in from under. They know there's no demo. Kratos on Sniper, so he can't deny anything. The bomb incoming! They're getting contact, but Seeds dies as well with a nice retaliation play here from Jack. And that fight looking to go in the side of Ascent somehow. And maybe Swift was a bit greedy here, because pushing just because the demo was dead was maybe risky, and they got punished for it.
Yeah, and they didn't have that much of a window of opportunity anyway, so going for the medic would probably have been just enough, but they wanted everything there, not just a little bit, and it just doesn't work out quite good enough. Seeds get jumped as well, and focus fire at the end of it was just not there, where Ascent clearly had superior one on their own last push attempt they had, and suddenly this all swings back around. They do have advantage though, which is a significant thing to play up here, but for now they need to keep mid intact for themselves.
It's a really big ad actually. It's 30%. But City's getting bombed. Can he survive? No! With the cleanup play from Credo in somehow. That's just pure aggression from Ascent, giving them the ace.
There we go, that's all he needed. It doesn't work so well on the actual mid-fights, but at this time it pays off just playing aggressive here and gets them all the kills they need, all the momentum they need to just make this all the more of a secure victory here. 2-0 would be really, really big with just about 4.5 minutes left. Second is being carried. UBR almost in play here as well.
And trying to push in. Gink is on sniper, he's trying to deny the aggression, but Kondog and the rest of his team push him to shut out. They're using the Uber. This time they're trying to go for frags, they don't drop anything. This is the perfect push this time for Ascent. All they have to do now, maybe he's playing the point, they do it. Oh, so much cap time, Scrub can't contest. This was a perfect push for Ascent, the first one we've seen so far, and of course it's working for them.
Yeah, there we go. It's that simple. If you have all the pieces lined up for yourself, just put them together like this and then you have a successful round on your hands. Took a while here to get the second round going, about 4 minutes left with the game at the pace going that we've seen so far. Is really, really hard for Swift to overcome.
In the third round now, it's 4 minutes for Swift to make it a comeback, to make it a tie, and it's gonna be tricky for them. They need to be more aggressive and they need to be more efficient with their bomb. As talking about bomb, the one is coming from Silentes. He's getting a lot of the space and actually gets a frag onto Classy. And Swift, they have to fall back onto their choke. They're getting bullied, just straight bullying from Ascent onto Swift. Now it's only a Sis and Scruff, but they can't survive for that long. The bomb coming from Silentes. Somehow Sis escaped, but no, Phil is on his case, gets a frag. Scruff is the only one left alive. And the perfect play, perfect follow-up play this time for Ascent.
This needs to be game in like so many different situations. Ascent just needs to play safe from here on out, getting this tremendous mid-win. Probably the biggest one we've seen all game, I think, as well. Is such a huge winning play right now, and this advantage will just write this home for them, as long as they don't all suddenly die for the next 3 minutes straight.
And it's just yeah, it's gonna be. I don't think Swift can make it unless some miracle. They need 2 rounds to make it a tie, but they're on their last with the Uber ad in the hands of Kondog, and they probably know how to make it a push now. That made it the previous time, so it's happening on the right hand side. There's no one to be found from Swift, but they're just playing the point now. Arms is there, but there's a heavy on his case. And Scout, can he survive? Looks like he can. Point play from Drac, is he can contest it, but now Credit follows up. Can Swift hold? They have to. They're 2 up against only Arms. Can Arms get the frag onto Seeds? He's getting it somehow! Can he get the heavy? No, Scruff is there. But that frag onto Seeds is probably the silver lining grid. How do you say that? Silver lining, yeah. For Swift, for Ascent, and this is probably it now. 2 minutes for 2 rounds. This is gonna be tricky.
Yeah, this is looking mighty over for this map here, and we might just go to map 3. A little bit of time is still left here, and Ascent, with the way they've played this map so far, certainly don't look like they want to stop at just 2-0.
And Swift trying to be more aggressive here onto the second bomb, but Lucas can't do anything. Is getting cleaned up by Ams and Credu. The 2 scouts just eventually showing up. And the bomb is coming. Kondog survives forever, but he's getting cleaned up. He's on the ground. He's still weak, getting cleaned up by the scouts. But in the end, this is just a DM fest now, and it's gonna be probably the end of it. It's only Gink alive against 3 players. I know he's good, but is he that good? I don't know. We'll see. Phil pushing on the left-hand side. He's getting a spawn with the person of Lucas. Phil is gonna get cleaned up by Gink. The bomb coming from Dragon Silentes. Can he get anything? Yes, he get the frag onto Gink. Can he get the cap? And this is 3-0. And what a reaction! The 15 first minute from Ascent were really dull, but now they found their rhythm.
Yeah, they might have needed a bit of time here, but they were just so much more consequent on the actual good pushes they had compared to Swift, whose last pushes were just looking so dire every single time, and that's such a big difference here. And people in post-game interviews always say how maps don't matter, but it clearly does when one of your maps is so much better than the others in terms of the last pushes alone.
4th mid, but I don't think this one really matters. But yeah, we're going to a 3rd map, and I'm really happy to see that because both teams look really close from one another skill-wise, and it's going to be exciting to see how it goes, how it unravels on that 3rd map. And so both playoff rounds, first rounds, went to 3 maps. I don't think we've seen that quite often. What a I don't know, like Swift looked so confident going into that 2nd map, but somehow Ascent managed to be the winning team. I don't think anybody expected that, because it looked like Ascent was just playing throwing.
Yeah, they played really, really sketchy the entirety of January, and we talked about composure, and it clearly came back to them eventually here on Snake. Even if it still took quite a while, it made all the difference here, and again, Swift just played from the back for the entire time, basically.
And this is it. 3-0% onto that second map, and yeah, composure maybe made the difference, or maybe experience. We mentioned how they Ascent have really experienced player with Drac, Amps, Silentis, and Dr. Phil. So these guys, they know how to make a comeback. They know how to be one map behind and to keep their cool and make it happen. While Swift are a bit more unexperienced. So maybe this is one of the factors that made that comeback happen for Ascent. And we'll see how it goes on that third map. But now let's take a little breather and look at the logs.
Yeah, that's about the best thing you can do while waiting for the next map to start here. And damage-wise, it's a big difference between first and second here. Silentis just getting all the damage done.
Incredible showing here from Silentis. Yeah, it was just above everyone, head and shoulders, with a nice ratio, nice damage. It just showed who was the boss, even though sometimes the Ubers from Ascent looked a bit sketchy, to say the least. Lucas again pumping up some damage, but not enough. And probably the key difference between Lucas' first map and second map is the amount of kills he had. Not as lucky as he was on Granary. And I'm interested to see how Ams and Credo fared, and yeah, they did so much better, especially Ams.
Yeah, definitely, and having your Scout show up is always a huge thing. Scout has the potential to just kill everything in a 1v1 if it comes down to it, and if the rest of the team just enables them, like Drac and Silentis did on this map for sure, then it's just such an easier time for them to get the damage done, to get these kills, and it makes all the difference here.
And I see a lot of heals going in the way of Silentis. It happened both times, on both maps, and maybe he's the one. Usually you want to be careful about the enemy demo man, but it's really it's kind of rare to see in this day and age to see the pocket getting so many heals. So maybe this is one of the reasons Ascent is needed to find their rhythm, because this is a bit unusual to see the pocket being the center of the attention.
Yeah, you don't see that too much anymore, and a lot of times it's a demo, it's a scout just leading the charges, not so much the soldier, like you said. And I think that happens once before with Ascent, where they just, like, mid-series decided to put more of a focus onto Silentis and have him call a lot more as well. Maybe that's a big difference here as well, that we just don't know about, and Silentis might have not just general stat-wise, but also just actual in-game impact with calls and stuff like that might have made a huge impact.
We'll see how it goes onto that third map, and I don't know about you, DuMmTm, but I've heard that Gullywash is both Silentis and Drag playground. So if I'm Swift right now, I'm a bit shaky.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild one for sure, and I'm curious to see how this one goes, because Swift is not necessarily any worse on this map either, so it's the perfect fit for a third map of a series like this.
And I think all these players kind of need to reset a bit, because it was a bit we said it earlier. The 15 first minutes of Sick Water were really slow, and somehow it just unlocked on the second half, and then it was really wild, a lot of pushes. And a bit about Swift. On Snake, they had two really big opportunities to claim the first round, and we all remember how these two last pushes were kind of failures, because they couldn't do anything with it. And it's really hard to come back when you have clear-cut opportunities and you don't make it count. So maybe there's something to fix for them. And I don't know how confident they are in their last pushes on Gullywash, but Gullywash last is certainly one of these last where it can be extremely tough to push and to claim the round.
Yeah, but if you're confident enough, and Sen certainly can be, you can put up so much pressure on Gullywash last at any time onto the holding team on last, that as long as you have the coordination for it, you can make them feel like they are always in the much worse spot on last, even if it's like an even Uber last spot, which usually is like the most like relaxed situation where you just need to watch for like snipers and maybe sacks. But on Gully Watch Lions, you have so many options to make pressure from that it can be really tough on a last holding team, as long as obviously the pushing team has what it takes, and Ascent certainly does. So SVIFT needs to be aware of that and not let themselves get overwhelmed here.
And one thing that these two teams they don't want to get overwhelmed by is the sniper potential on this map. We've seen Gink playing some sniper, and I think we remember that crazy 3K that Gink had on the one of the last game of the season on Gulewash. But Credo is a pretty potent sniper as well, and we haven't seen that much of him so far. So probably wanna, if there's gonna be a stalemate at some point, the sniper potential, sniper factor will probably be one of the keys to unlock that situation. And both teams have quite the argument to show for themselves.
Sure, and I do have to say though that despite Swift not having the better game on Snakewater just now, they did play fairly well around the Credo sniper, especially in last, not letting him come to any sort of opportunities at all. And that is a really strong asset to have with a team as strong with sniper as Ascent, to be able to handle the sniper fairly competently. That if it comes down to like a fairly close game in the end, then just a long drawn out stalemate, shutting down a sniper like that can make a huge difference.
Okay, before we dive into that final game of that series, DuMmTm, what's your prediction?
I'm predicting another interesting mess of a game that Ascent scraps away with 4-3.
Oh, so another close game. I like that. I think Ascent is gonna take it, but I think for the sake of competition, I'm gonna say Swift is gonna win. So let's remind everyone: the winner of this is gonna advance through the winner bracket in phase 7 in the winner bracket finals, while the loser of this is gonna go forward, move along the loser bracket and play against Feint in the loser bracket first round. So there's something at stakes, and I don't know. I think Ascent is slightly maybe better prepared for that kind of scenario.
Yeah, and it's a minimum of 3rd place already if you win this game for this season alone, which, granted, I think both of these teams have higher aspirations, especially Ascent. Swift being a new roster, maybe a little bit less so, but they've shown themselves to be really, really strong this season, this match specifically as well. So after doing so well, especially the first map, they want more out of this than just 3rd.
And this is it. This is the final map between Swift and Ascent to decide who's going to join 7 in the winner bracket round 2. And both teams are at the same spot, one map each. And Lucas is already on the ground, where Dr. Phil is on the high ground. And it looks like a good mid start of the mid for Ascent. Now Swift, they have to regain composure. But look at this bomb from Draken Silentes. They get the frag onto Lucas. This is huge for them. Seed's already really weak, and he's gonna get maybe cleaned up by Track. But no, he can't save Silentes. Oh my god, Seed's like a complete spy was behind Silentes. Got a saw. He got behind, the contact died, and somehow complete turnover of that middle fight. And this is Swift who's gonna take the better end of it.
And that's such a shame for Connor to die there too, because they were so aware that Gink was behind, but he still got a bunch of damage onto the medic and eventually got cleaned up off of it as well. Credo walking in here wants to get the kill onto the medic so desperately that they've been working on this entire mid-fight, but it's still not enough. There we go, after a single minute here. First mid-fight, it goes to Swift in significant enough fashion to definitely take 2nd here and have a decent shot at last.
The fact that Sid survived is completely incredible. Really, he was really weak, and he had both soldiers on his case, and somehow Silentes didn't see him because he was behind. So he escaped, and with him UBR1 escaped as well. So now it's 40% UBR1 for Seeds. There's a heavy there's a pyro and a gun for Sand, so this will be hard for Swift to break that hold. They're going from Shutterdown, they're using onto Lucas and Scrap. They can't get the gun quite yet, they finally get it, but Phil is behind the point, he's under with the help of Silentes, and now Lucas is sticky trapping the right door, but Papi and Geek dies, no soldiers for Swift. The Uber is kind of, the health is kind of weak for Sand. Condog escaped with I think 3 HP or something, and now Sand making their way back onto the second point. Arms on a 2-on-1, he gets the frag onto Seeds. Lucas wasn't there to help him. Lucas launches into the air, hit that please, no they can't hit it in craters, and this is now a hold for Sand.
Papi jumped Connor immediately on the rotation back to the other side of spawn, gets 147 damage, and it's still not enough in the end. And I think one of the scouts tried to clean up, but Connor just hides in the corner and doesn't get spotted for it. Just plays some Metal Gear in the middle of the smash. Gink gets a snipe here, delays this push potentially and makes it all the more uncomfortable for Ascent to be on a midpoint here, but can't get much of another side lane going, so he just spawns back to Soldier and sees what he can do from there, waits up top, but the combo isn't coming his way.
No, the conduct the combo is coming on the big door. This is why Ging didn't see him, and the bomb coming from Silente is gonna get maybe trapped by Ging, but no, Ging prioritized escaping over killing Silentes. Okay, why not? Seeds building proficiently, already 75%. He's probably gonna get his own Uber in time because everybody's outside, and they know they don't have the UBR1 anymore. And there's a Pyro and a gun, exact same hold from Swift that we've seen from Ascent before. And so, I mean, when you know how the enemy team is holding, do you know how to push it? Is it how it works?
When they're holding where exactly? Sorry.
They had the gun at the exact same spot in the shutter door, but this switch now.
Yeah, it's a bit more aggressive, and the Pyro is like much more committed to protecting the sentry gun, since that's like the meta these days, to have the Pyro protect the gun instead of denying entry. So the Pyro is like a lot more easy to kill there, but obviously it covers so much more here, and we already see that it's just denying these jumpers trying to take any sort of space here. Field choice is most to destroy the gun here, but it's not enough, and the point play gets punished quickly as well. Ascent trying, what I mentioned here earlier, to just put on a lot of pressure at the same time from a bunch of different areas, but all of it goes punished.
Yeah, that's a 4-man sack for nothing, or just a gun, so that's probably not enough. And Swift, they're happy to claim back their second point, and that was an attempt for Ascent. Maybe they could have gone with something more cautious first, but this is the path they've chosen for themselves. And now it's going to be an even Uber situation onto the mid, with Ascent holding the mid, so they probably up to them to do anything. Usually you try to apply some pressure onto big door, and they try to go for Lucas. Lucas feeling really weak, but he's getting saved by Seeds. Silentes tried to go behind, he got cleaned up by Scruff, who was aware of that push, and now it's going to be another reset, exact same situation here, but there's a frag with Silentes still being dead, and maybe Swift will use that one man down to push in, but Pappy getting really well denied onto Choke, and he can't make his way through the middle front.
I don't think he's too upset about not making his way in though, because he's just getting damage for his battalion's backup. He's looking for the damage resistance. The next time there's a pick going Swift's way, they might just opt to not even use here and just take the damage resistance and make it about 30% harder for Ascent to get anything done in return. So that might be a decent opportunity to play off here, and they're just playing the long con.
And I saw Gink going back lobby. I thought he was maybe going last for a sniper play, that he has the secret, but he decided just to stay here and to check for people maybe trying to go behind. Nice position here from Scruff on top of Choke, trying to deny potential jumper as soon as soldiers hit thin air, and the bomb is coming and Scruff is nowhere to be seen, and but Silentes can't do anything because nice protection here for Classy, and I think the soldier was there as well. And is that enough for Swift to try to push back and try to make a sack happen? But from the looks of it, they're being extremely cautious here, and Pappy has that banner, so maybe it is going to be a trade with a banner play afterwards. I don't know what they have in the back of their minds.
Yeah, they're not taking the opportunity just yet, so they're looking for clearly something better at the moment here, and who knows, maybe they just want a non-Uber situation where Connor had to use maybe exchange first before they go for it. At the moment, Gink is the only one making any sort of movements on the flank, goes weak, abandons position immediately, and both teams just playing patient here. It's certainly a third map of a best of 3 series.
And now Ascent trying to make their way onto that big door, but yeah, it's the third map. People are being way more cautious than they have been so far. Credu behind, trying to see if he can claim a frag or draw some people back maybe. He got Cassie on his case, but Amps as well tried to go in, but both scouts are not dead for Ascent, and this is probably the better situation that Pappy was waiting for before taking the trade. Scruff is in, Uber is being used by Sid, Kondok is holding onto his own, holding the Uber now is being used. Scruff kind of caught out of position, and the banner is being used onto Choke now, and there's no one to hold this field, being completely exposed all the way back to Big Door, and he's gonna die probably. There's 2 soldiers on him, but no, there's a fence here, they can't get the frag onto field. Siege is behind, he was on the ground. What a play from Amps, who's claimed the frag onto Siege, and now everybody's weak for Ascent. Only Phil is kind of healthy, but it's only Classy, and as good as he is, can he get any frag? No, he can't. And it looked like a decent play with that banner used by Pappy, but somehow the poor positioning from Swift was the doom of them.
Yeah, they were tanking the damage the way they should, and certainly survived stuff that they probably wouldn't otherwise, but in the end it doesn't matter if you can't deal the damage yourself. Nothing died in the end, and they were just solely relying on, I think, bullying them out with just pure presence on the midpoint, but it was not enough. Ascent had none of that and just kept fighting post the banner, and eventually got the better end of this, and like you said, pure position just completely caught him off guard, got completely surrounded in really bad spots here, and getting Ascent all the way back to last yet again for another try here. This time it's already an advantage. Need to still make their way into lobby first, but still 50% as we speak.
Yeah, but we've seen them beefing that kind of ad, weefing that kind of ad, and now they're trying to go through Soledad. They haven't used yet. Ams is alone, is being backed up by Dr. Phil now, but they can't get anything. The pyro denying every stick hit from the gun. The gun eventually dies, and now Ams is on the cap. There's nobody to deny him because Lucas was good out of position under. And what a play here from a nice read here from Ams, getting the first run of this map for Ascent.
Yeah, really crucial cap time there, and it was necessary as well. The gun, like you said, took way too long to go down there, and that's what you want to see with the pyro at the gun. But eventually they just saw the opportunity on the point and ignored everything else, and that's sometimes just all you need.
And I think Lucas was busy doing something else, but I didn't quite see what. But in the end, this is what happened. Nice bomb here coming from Gink onto field, but get denied. He's on the ground now, and it's going to be up to Ascent to take the high ground. There's a roamer duel under the point. They trade with each other. The bomb coming from Pappy getting completely mulched by Credu. And now Lucas is extremely aggressive. He falls onto the low ground, and Condor, can he survive? Sits in an awkward position. Victor is really weak. With the help of Scrub, Classy dies as well. And this is looking really bad now for Swift. They're on the low ground. They're trapped into Ascent side of the map, and they have to be careful now because the spawners are going to hit them, and they're going to hit them hard.
Yeah, let's see how far they can carry this. The advantage is slowly coming in. Never mind, Seeds got called out as the first one in this situation. Goes down with 90%, and now Connor has his advantage, I was about to say, but Lucas had different ideas. Jumps in there, destroys them, as well as Ams on top of that.
Ams was a bit trigger happy with a little teasing chat because Lucas completely molested him, and the Condog with claiming a drop in the process. So now Swift, they're back on their last, but they have a sizable Uber advantage, and they're trying to make their way back from top, trying to see if they can make their way onto the second point. Dr. Phil is kind of alone on the choke. If he's getting dropped, there's no way he survives. Ams died to stick trap. It wasn't spy. I think he went lower. He couldn't do anything, and now Ascent, they have to fall back, and they have to be careful from that with that little Uber advantage in the hands of Seeds. It's 20%. This is enough for Swift to push in, and there's no demo to deny them from pushing into choke.
Well, so far there's at least a soldier here still wants to make life hard for them, and at least trades one out for the team, but that's not quite probably what he was looking for. And Drag weaves the jump as well, and catches rockets, catches so much damage, and kills Credo with him in the process there in choke. Nothing going Ascent's way anymore. Suddenly this is spiraling back into Swift control here and out of Ascent, and with 3 down right now, it's looking mighty sketchy. It's kicks on the forward spawn, don't catch anything. Papi leads this in, so much damage into Ams by everybody. Nice shots all around. Lucas cleans up Sil with that as well. Suddenly everything is landing for Swift here, and they desperately need it.
It's gonna be an even Uber situation, but there's 2 down. Can Swift make it? Can maybe get the sack going? No, they doesn't. They get the gun, so it's pretty good for them to, as an entry pick, but it doesn't look like they can get anything else. Ams is on pyro, is going to deny every rocket going the way of his medic, and now Swift, they have to be happy to fall back into lobby. They have to wait and they have to see how they can break that hold, because what a hold, it's a really tough hold to break, and with a gun and the pyro, it's gonna be hard for Swift. And I don't really know what they have on their minds, because right now they're just stacking that lobby. Nobody's really looking to do to go for any kind of plays. And as I said, of course, Gink and Pappy proves me wrong by spamming the gun.
Yeah, they're trying the hardest to get rid of that. Without the gun on last, it's so much easier to do anything in the first place, but getting rid of it is the hard part here to begin with. And Ams just trying to test everybody and their reflexes when one seems to just like challenging people to an air blast battle, but no one wants to play dodgeball with him, so not gonna happen today.
That gun is pretty far away now. It's a really different mentality from the one we saw from I think it was Classy, with a really more forward gun. And there's
Drag wraps all the way around into River, and that's a lot of damage, but not kill. They were aware enough of that in time. Point gets played as well. King trades one out against Atlantis, and that's at least 2 down. Sure, you're lacking 1, but 2 soldiers lacking here. There's a lot of splash that's not on the field, and Swift wants to take advantage of take the exchange into last, gets corner to use here, and that's all that happens for the moment. They just leave immediately, and the spawns are back on the field for Ascent, so not much to play off here for Swift anymore.
And somehow Arms on Power was launched forward by the Sikis, and all that Swift saw was the flying Uber Pyro coming their way, so of course they had to go back. They'd never seen that before, and it's not a whole reset situation. I like the initiative from Swift, and now Geek is under. I don't think they know yet. Drac knows it's going to be a Roamer fight maybe happening downstairs, but no, they can't claim the frag onto Gink. So Gink is just gonna stay here, lurking around, see if he can bring anything, someone to get the frag. Yeah, he got credit to fight, and you don't really want to get credit to fight you because he usually ends up with you dying.
Let's see what we can do with this. The advantage is dwindling, so there's nothing more for Swift to do in that regard anymore. And like I said, Sax are not working too well right now. King spawning now. Might go sniper with us? No, decides against it. Am's well aware of the possibility though. I'm really liking people being aware of the possibility that people could off-class in this. Am's however actually committed to his off-class play here, so he's all the way behind lines, just ready to strike.
Oh, he's not that ready. He's really far back, lower lobby, and Classy just knows. Classy has that radar, and he just saw Amps before everyone else, and he got the frag. So that's going to be a 6-on-5 hold for Ascent. They got Credo as well. This is huge now, and they got another one. Sonic Conduct and Silences they have to use, and Sis is nowhere to be threatened. He doesn't have to use it, but Conduct dies as well, and somehow it went so bad so quickly for Ascent.
Yeah, Connor just dropped one too many players. All of a sudden, everybody on Swift is in on last, and just kills his entire team in front of his eyes, nobody with him on the beam, and there was nothing more to salvage there for Ascent.
And Swift, as we hit the mid-map mark, this is a perfect tie, perfect even situation. One map each, one round each on that third map, and now it's gonna be up to anybody who launches the aggression. The bomb is coming from Drac. Can he get anything? No, he's just jumping around. He's doing a map jump. The mad lad. Happy just launched into the air, died as well. Now Credo dies as well. This is looking a bit bad for Ascent. They don't have the heals, they don't have the positioning, they have to go back. Condog's already way back in choke, and now it's only Dr. Phil and Condog. Now it's only Condog, and he's alone, he's in lobby, he's gonna get chased by everybody that Swift can chase with. And there's this guy here, Classy. Can he get it? Condog decided to go for that fight. He has to claim 2 souls to survive. He gets 1, and Credo, the saving grace, save his medic from despair.
That was so close for Connor there, but it somehow paid off, and in the meantime there was no cap time on mid at all, so all of this just delayed this mid fight for so long, and with Classy going down on top of that, they're lacking a player here on Swift. This might have been too much to ask for. 2-for-1 trade here in total, make that 2-for-2. Credo gets taken down as well in the end, with the midpoint just barely capped out. They just don't want to stay any longer on mid, just go straight to second, and you have to faster cap time just barely on Gully. But it is just working out for them, and suddenly Ascent in the worst spot here, having to hightail it back to last, but Phil has the traps ready in time, gets scruffed with that, and suddenly Seeds is all alone and nobody's with him.
And Classy is there, trying to go for the force, but Phil is aware of that, and the Uber is being used forced onto Seeds, so now it's looking really good for Ascent, even though somehow 1 minute ago it looked really bad for them, but the tides are turning really fast tonight, and now it's going to be a big Uber ad for Condog. And I don't think there's going to be any more spawners for Swift, so it's a free entry onto mid for Ascent if they decide to take it, and they probably should even go further than that and try to use that Uber ad. They need to be careful though. Gink is lurking on the flank, he hasn't been called, but he decides to go back, and now it looks like Ascent and want to take that Uber onto Big Door. Lucas is on the ground. Lucas is probably going to get caught out of position. No, he escaped somehow. Arms wasn't greedy enough to go for that chase, and probably he could have been, because now it's going to be reset and everybody from Swift looks safe and sound.
Yeah, but they don't have any position on Swift, so I don't think they have the best of possibilities here to actually try to take a fight with. You would have to exchange, but you lose all your defensive position and all your capabilities to actually do anything onto a backup there, so they don't want to take the risk. Just put themselves back onto last. Classy on Engineer, Scruff on Spy. Probably, yeah, at the moment just checking, seeing what's up. If anything is out of the ordinary, Spy, Sniper, anything, nothing quite of that sort yet. So it will just continue on in the stalemate we've seen a few times already.
And Pappy rocking the Bastion's backup, so he's gonna get go for spam and see if he can fill up the charge before Ascent decides to use the Uber. And that once more, that kind of aggressive gun onto the left hand side by Classy with the pyro protecting it. The pressure applied by Ams and Drag onto the riverside. Ams has to go back with a nice arrow from Conduct, saving him from death. And it's gonna be a decent hold, but now Silentas he's dying as well. I think he went for a sack from under, but he got punished, and now Ascent they have to go back. And is anyone going back to spawn to get enough class? It doesn't look like it.
And unless my game's dying, which is entirely possible, we have a pause.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that it's not me just timing out, which would happen to me, to be fair, but yeah, it is a pause in fact, which lets us take some time here to just take a breather with the map it's been so far and just see what's gonna happen here.
And yeah, so it's a perfect Uber situation. It's even on both sides. Silentas Zyber is gonna be there any second now after he spawned, so we've seen some attempts at breaking the holds from both teams, and so far the only time it worked out was because Conduct dropped a lot of people. So it doesn't look like any of these teams really figured out how to effectively force. I don't think any of the sacks worked out, and none of the medics had to use their own Uber. So what is it going to take now?
I don't know, I think Ascent had a good opportunity earlier. They just failed a bit on execution. They had everything in the right places and it just barely didn't work out. They had the scout on point, they had everybody just spamming really aggressively to get the gun, get damage onto players wanting to block the point, and maybe have somebody just be ready to potentially jump seats if people just aren't quite aware of them for the possibilities. But they all just got caught just barely quickly enough for SVIFT to get the kills instead of Ascent, not get the force, not get a lot of cap time with it. So they have the eagerness to make this sort of play where you just commit a lot of different things at the same time at last. But SVIFT has also similarly shown that they are able to shut it down. So Ascent needs a much improved version of that sort of play here to make this work if they want to put on a good amount of pressure and get away with another quick round here.
And even though the clock is still ticking, it's actually 12 minutes left, so they have time. Both of these teams, they have time to actually take their time and try to go for more cautious sacks, because we've seen at the beginning of the map Ascent on that exact same situation, and they didn't commit 1 or 2 bodies, they committed 4 and they didn't get anything with it. So it didn't work out for them the first time, even though you mentioned they had some opportunities. But is it really execution, or is it just that the idea wasn't good? I don't know. We yet to see Credo play sniper as well.
Yeah, it's actually surprising. He played a little bit of it only in total on the course of the 2.5 maps he had so far, so not too much. Maybe he's just not having the greatest day of all time for his sniper plays, and just tries to avoid it altogether and just be as consistent as possible with the scout instead, which is a completely reasonable choice. But as we speak of that, he's going all the way back to the spawn door and waits for Silentas to open it for him, so maybe he's just taking one more good chance of it.
Yeah, I think that's why they paused. They just waited for us to tell them what they have to do. So, that was clever. Nice play here from Credo. So yeah, there's a sniper now. I'm fairly sure SVIFT are gonna expect it soon enough, and it's gonna be up to Credo to work his magic. We've seen him doing that before. It's going already through the little. How do you call that? On Riverside, he's just jumping. Oh, but King and Pappy greet him with a rocket each.
Well, that is a quick, timely death at his first attempt to snipe on Gullywatch. Does not last too long here. I'm curious to see what caused the pause. It wasn't too long of a pause here, so possibly just somebody disconnecting but not having like actual major internet issues. That would be the optimal case. It would be really unfortunate if something tremendous happened now that caused a pause here in a game like this, with as close as it is so far.
Could be a tactical pause as well.
It seems like a strange moment. It's an even worse stalemate, and so far there has nothing been that changes this fact at the moment, so I don't think the pause happened outside of the stalemate.
Oh, they're pausing. This is why when the pause happens, so maybe
yeah, in the middle of the stalemate. Let's see, let me scroll up in chat.
It doesn't look like a...
Somebody was just having 600 ping for a little bit. I don't know who, but somebody.
An unfortunate soul had too much ping to play. But we're back in business. 10 minutes, 30 seconds. It's still 1-1. And any of the team, they need a round to get the win. We can't end on a tie here. This is the upper bracket round 1, and we need a winner to go forward in the playoff stage. So any of the teams, they will have to take risk at some point. They have to make something happen. Pappy is still on the Batten's backup. Scruff still on Paro. Classy is still on his dispenser. And Gink and Silentus trade, so probably nothing is going to happen out of that.
Yeah, just continuing the stalemate. But Credo has different ideas, and Amps is already on the point with it as well. Just ready to cap the point, and everything just strikes at the same moment. Ascent just doing everything they can at the same time as Amps was just ready to play the point there if he needs to distract for the sniper play, but that just happened completely on his own. And we doubted Credo, and he heard us complain and just decided to make us shut up himself, I guess.
What was that 1 pixel shot from Credo? That was incredible. What a play, what a clutch play here from the clutcher himself, Credo. And now this is the 4th middle and Swift. They probably need to react, but I wouldn't be surprised that there'll be a little knock on the head, because that was a really incredible play from Credo. And look at that middle, it's just straightforward onto the hands of Ascent, and now it's only Seeds. He's alone lobby. Is anyone able to chase him? Yeah, both Credo and Abs, they're thirsty. They want to get that frag. They're on the prowl. Credo is there. Abs is there as well. Seeds, there's no way he escapes. And the middle was capped as well by Dr. Phil. Pristine chase here from both the scouts of Ascent.
Yeah, in the actual competitive game, it isn't like the most unbalanced game of all time. This was pretty much the optimal fight. You just commit your soldiers in, everybody teams up. The soldiers might die, doesn't matter. Everybody is there to clean up, chasing the medic down to not having escape and getting away with it on top of that for the Uber advantage into last. Everything going right for Ascent here for the last few minutes. And that is certainly scary for Swift now as time is ticking against them and Ascent's opportunities have not dried up yet.
Oh, it's so rough for Swift. They were in that game, and that bullet from Credo was just a knock on the head, more than being a headshot. And now Uber is being used onto the shadow door. Arms is gonna play point. Maybe he's looking for Lucas. He saw him. He can't get the frag, but Phil can. And now Drac is gonna play the point to the paint train. He's getting assisted by Silentes. And 2 minutes ago it was 1-1, and now Ascent is already making the breakthrough, and is leading 3-1.
Yeah, and the fact that both soldiers for Swift desperately tried to force the Uber in on River just made it so much easier. This Uber wasn't even needed to kill things. Just get the gun, get space on the point, and find out who the demo is, and suddenly that's already around. No soldiers to stop you at all, and makes it all the easier. Swift certainly getting desperate now.
Yeah, it's more than the knock on the head at this moment. Just Swift just laying down on the ground. They can't do anything. The bomb coming from Silentes gets 2 frags onto Lucas and Sage. This is huge here from Silentes. And now it's on his Scruff and Pappy, but both of them are out of the fight. There's nothing they can do. Pappy has to go back, maybe try to go for a flank play. No, he's leaving from top. But such dominance in such a short time from Ascent.
That is such a big turnaround for Ascent now, and they have all the momentum going forward. It looks like the pause was used very efficiently to just figure out what to do next, and everything has gone right since. And now we are here 3-1, all the way another mid-win, getting Papi really late in this position as well. It's just another free kill that they don't have to worry about for the last push now.
They're gonna have 50% Uberrad, the Ascent players. Again, there's a gun, again there's a Paro, and again Conduct's now using through the door. He's eventually using onto his demo. Arms is trying once more to look for Lucas. He's found him, he's on his case, and Drac once more from Riverside, from under, play the point. And this is the exact same push, exact same perfect play. Just perfection here for Ascent.
This time they didn't even need to bother to block the respawning players on the left side of spawn. They just stacked the point instead and had all the time in the world to not have to be pressured on the point and not to worry about it. Really efficient play here for Ascent, and Swift is just falling apart as the time goes on.
Oh, this is almost saddening to see how Swift was into that game, and now they're just nowhere to be seen anymore. The bomb coming from Pappy as the answer. Maybe they need, yes, they get Conduct. This is a really nice play here from Pappy. They get Silentis as well. Maybe this is the comeback that they need. Pappy with another frag onto Credu, and now the bomb. Everybody's going for Seeds, but Seeds escaped. He's in choke. It's only Amps. What a mid from Swift.
They just did what they needed to do here. Just play defensive, not overcommit to anything themselves. Realize we still have just about enough time to not be desperate to overaggress over the point and let Ascent still try to play the game and stop them from doing it very efficiently, stop anyone from trying to jump here. While getting the medic on top of that is the most important kill of all here. And it works out perfectly. This is what they need here, and they don't have much time to do any more of it.
And we've seen Ascent throwing a 3-round ad or 3-round advantage already. It was against Feint in the last week of the season. Are they gonna do it again? I don't know, but it's 5 minutes left and the Uber is being used by Swift onto the shutter door. They're trying to go for the gun, but they eventually get it, and now they're trying to go for Dr. Phil, but the stickies are there to protect him. The bomb coming from Papi can't get anything, is getting claimed by the stickies from Dr. Phil, meaning there's no stickies anymore onto the last if they want to play it, but it's just 3-on-4 now in favor of Ascent. Swift, they have to fall back. Siege is getting chased main by Credu. Can he escape? No, he can't get the soul. Get the packs. Is that enough for survive? No, he can't. There's no way to survive, but there's a backup coming from King. King gets it, and Swift can do it. It's 4-2 now.
That was so lucky for Swift as well. The coordination at the beginning of this was so bad. They got the Uber in onto the gun, and then they didn't get anything onto the point or deny the spawning players on the left side at all, and just barely clutch it out with a sketchy DM fight just by the pure fact that people were stuck on the low ground for way too long on the Ascent, barely scraping this one away, but they do have the time for the comeback.
That chase from Credu onto Siege was probably not the best idea here, but here we are on the 7th mid of that Gully Wash map. The bomb once more. Papi gets Condog again. Silentes dies and Phil complete falling apart here from Ascent. Can they claim anything? Siege is there in choke. He's extremely weak, but it's only Ams and Credu now. Ams is 2 HP, Credu is full HP, but is there against Papi. Papi, can he be the tank? He has to be now. He has to go back. They need to go back into that mid if they want to make it a tie. But they're scared. They know they should be. Ams is behind and Credu is in front. Who to go for? I don't know. Papi doesn't know.
Yeah, and Ams is just waiting for people to spawn, waits for Lucas, gets the damage done, doesn't quite get the kill, and they're just stuck in the decision making here. Ams is dealing so much damage, gets classy behind lines, will get traded out immediately after, but it still costed them so much not getting the midpoint off of this. They have the advantage, but it's always scary to not have to use in here if you want to make this an optimal push, where everybody on your team makes the hardest attempt to get you to use the Uber here.
The aggression from Swift, they're going onto mid, and the Ascent is falling back. They're gonna try to get their Uber in time. They have 80%, they're probably gonna get it in time, but Swift already going through choke as quickly as they can. Can they get the frag onto field? There's a sniper! Ams is in forward. Can he get the frag onto Seeds? But no, Seeds, he's hiding in choke. He's just picking there, here and there. Ams picking the door, he can't get it. King died as well. And now the trades, Ubers are being traded, but it's looking so much better for Ascent now. Swift are only 4 up, and they're gonna get clustered into that choke. Arms is chasing. He needs some assistance. He needs some support. You know what? Arms actually doesn't care. He's just going behind now. And Ascent, are they going to be happy with that hold, or do they want to plow through the choke? Looks like they want to go. Silentes is in. He doesn't care. He doesn't respect the stickies. Scruff dies. No pocket scout for Seeds now. Silentes somehow survived, and everybody from Swift is on the low ground. And somehow that fight looked so good for Swift. They were just holding the choke, but Ascent with complete disrespect, just making their way through mid.
Ooh, but too late picks could be really sketchy once the spawners are kicking in for Swift. They're not here yet though, so going for the fight just yet, it might just be a bit too overcommittal. Lucas behind lines with the attempt on backup doesn't get through with it, and now it's just stuck behind lines as well. So many things going on at the same time for Swift, and few of them are working, like the forward spawn camp for Lucas, but it's only a single kill, not 2 at the same time, and he's still stuck all the way behind, not helping his team in any sort of team fight here. But they don't care, they want to come in here. But Drag is just waiting on the lamps, waiting for an opportunity.
The Ubers are being traded, and it looks okay for Swift. They need an okay. No, they need more than an okay fight. They need a good fight if you don't want to make it back. And killing Credu is the way to get a good fight. No, they need to get the middle, and they need to get forward at the same time. This is gonna require a lot of coordination here for Swift. And look at Ascent. They're showing no fear at all. Just bravery. They're just going in Swift. They don't care about it. There's a Huntsman sniper in the hands of Drag. Somehow, this is probably the best. He actually gets a nice arrow onto Classy, putting him to 5 HP. Who knew that the Huntsman would be the way to hold as long as they can? Now all they need is to waste as much time as they can. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds for Swift if they want to make it a tie. They need 2 rounds, 2 quick rounds, otherwise it's going to be it for them, and they're going to go to the lower bracket. 1 minute and 20 seconds. They won't have any Uber ads. Swift Seed is only 70%, while Condog has the Uber. They need to go now. Somehow they need to make it work. Papi dies, Ging dies. This is probably it now. Ams falls as well, but with no heavy classes whatsoever for Swift. It's only Seeds and Classy against 5 players, and this is it. Ascent is gonna go rejoin 7 in the lower winner bracket, but what a series it was.
Yeah, definitely a really close game, and I'm a bit upset this push didn't work, because I called 4-3 and it's gonna probably end 4-2 now, but you know, well deserved win for Ascent, taking the sweet time to wake up on the series in general. Just like halfway across the second map, they eventually found themselves, were able to win it 3-0, and it took again a half the map here to get the lead going the way they wanted to and make it from 1-1 to 3-1 in a matter of a few minutes. And even if SVIFT would have gotten this round, it would have been so tough to get yet another one after this. It took so long to even get to last with this one.
But what happened after how the first map went for Sen, which was really bad? Who knew? Who expected them to show so much dominance on the remaining two maps? The way they played, especially on Gully, was incredible. I think they got 3 rounds in like 5 minutes. Really incredible play here for Ascent. The I don't know what it was. Is it skill? Is it experience? Is it a combination of everything? I don't know what it was, but one thing is sure. Ascent is making its way through the winner bracket, while SVIFT will have another chance against Feint in the loser bracket.
And if anything, Ascent has shown that they can keep going on and keep on playing well after not a good start to a game, to a series, whatever. They managed to keep themselves in this, and against a team like Seven, this is valuable skills to have going for your team.
So let's take a final look at the logs and see how it went on that third and final map. Again, it looked really close for a really long time, and then somehow a bump in the road for SVIFT, or I don't know what it was, a launch pad maybe for Ascent, but one team raised through the sky while the other just crumbled, and it was shocking to see.
Yeah, definitely. And if you just look at it, the scouts again, it's like they slowly had a rise throughout the maps. They had a really tough start in January, and then they slowly but surely woke up. Speaking of Scout's credit as well, just we haven't seen much at all of him sniping. And then the one time he snipes on this map, it is probably the most important one in this entire series, just instantly dropping the medic and immediate round conversion off of it. Just slow redemption arc for the Ascent scouts here to just make their way from not so great to suddenly just destroying everything.
And look at, I want to highlight the sidelines from Drag and Silentis. Like, they have really poor ratios, but it just shows how selfless they were playing that game, so that both Amps and Credo could just shine and claim all the frags. So really, really nice to see them just playing for their team and giving it the win. Credo is the one shining the most because of that clutch play, but the team spirit and team cohesion from Drag and Silentis is just exactly what they need.
Also, the heal rolls are quite a bit different. You said Silentis obviously much like Drag, but he's a roamer, so that's a bit more expected. Playing like a lot more selflessly, a lot more like sacrificial, dying when it's necessary to get the damage done. And so that's fairly obvious that, you know, he died much more. He got a lot less heals. Phil this time, for the first time, I think, the most heals on his team. But same story actually on SVIFT's end as well, which is fairly surprising, especially with how the heal heavy Lucas has been this entire day so far. Suddenly he's just the first mode heal anymore, and Papi being the tank instead, taking 9k heals, taking the most damage on the server by a wide margin as well. So interesting to see how they switched up that, intentionally or not. Maybe it was just how the game pace went in general, but interesting to see how that changed over the course of the game.
I'm at loss for words, because it was really a big game on paper and a big game on server. It was for both teams. We're probably gonna get people coming here to get some questions asked to themselves. If we can find them.
Oh, wait a second. I need to actually move Silentis in here. Wait a second. Give me a moment.
Yeah, we're gonna get joined by at least Silentis, who's just probably the emotion, but he's not in a proper channel, so we can't hear him. But apart from that, what a series it was from SVIFT and Ascent, and I'm really looking forward to see how it's gonna go in their games against Seven for Ascent, because they just showed that they had really strong will tonight against SVIFT, and a strong will they will need if they are to overcome Seven, as Silentis apparently doesn't want to join us.
I just found out that you can't type in a Mumble channel that he's in, and I tried to tell him, but apparently, you know, you can't type in there. So if somebody has Silentis on the friends list, please tell him to move to the end of the channel. Oh, there we go. Finally.
Hello? What do you mean
Hello.
I don't want to join you? I'm just waiting. I'm bound, gagged in the channel above. I can't
We're in
do
the
anything.
wrong channel.
I was in... Beta moved me out of the interview channel. What was I supposed to do? It says I got moved.
But we're gonna say it's the emotion kicking in. But what games it was for you, Silentes. Let's
Thank
take
you.
it map by map. What happened on Granary? Because from the outside, it really looked like you guys just threw.
Well, Granary was their pick for one. And it plays very differently compared to all the other 5CP maps. And we came into it, like, things were going okay, and then like a few bad pushes kind of set the mood for the whole map, and then we just could never really get the mess back together. And that was really the whole map. We just made so many silly mistakes, and so much bad luck as well, to be honest, like Condor randomly catching a pipe through shutter and stuff. But yeah, that was a rough one.
And would you also say that Granary is known to be a slow map? And from what we've seen throughout the 3 maps, it looked like when Swift was able to control the rhythm and get it really slow, you guys were a bit in trouble. Whereas as soon as you guys just break that momentum, you just piled up all the rounds. So was it like also a rhythm question?
I don't know. Like, from my point of view, it was really the opposite. I was trying to get us to slow down, and because I think that on paper we were just better, so I wanted to take team fights and not messy fights, because I think that lets them back in. And I think you really saw that on Snake. We controlled it the whole way, and didn't drop many any points or any rounds. Just keeping it nice and steady.
Yeah, but I see what you mean. But from what we've seen, it's like every time you took, like, for example, the first 15 minutes of Snakewater were really stalematy. There was some last pushes from Swift that they couldn't really convert into rounds, but it's just when you went. I remember a push where there was no Uber whatsoever on the map, and you guys just all dived in and you won that fight, and then you got around in the back of it. So it looked like when you went out of aggression, the fact that you're the better team just showed.
I mean, maybe in the messy fights we won more of those, but I think even like the fights we took without Uber, like at some point on Snake, after we got the first round, everything just clicked and we felt really good. Then we felt really good for a bit on Gully, and then started lagging, so that's why we paused. And then after the pause, we just got 3 rounds really quick because I guess we just reset mentally, and I don't know, it was really nice after the pause.
Credo hit a crazy headshot as well, so that helped for sure.
I heard.
The old dispenser shot, the one you don't see every day. Yeah, that was pretty nice. But going forward, you're not gonna face 7 in the winner bracket. How do you go into? So you're the only team that tied with 7 in the regular season. I think beating them is kind of what you're aiming for. Is there any? Is it the game that matters, or as long as you're in the grand finals, this is what you're looking for?
Obviously, winning the upper round or upper finals?
Yes.
Yeah, winning
Upper
that would
finals,
obviously be good, because I think mentally it puts you in a much better position, and it's definitely possible depending on how we play on the day. And we've been on a streak so far of continually fixing a lot of mistakes we used to have on certain maps, and if that keeps up, I'll have good hopes for our game against 7 actually.
Nice. Dom, do you have any question yourselves?
I think we covered it fairly well here, so let's just make this a quick evening for all of us and wrap things up.
Sure. Silentus, do you have any shoutouts?
Shout out to my team, shout out to Ascent, shout out to Mailer for giving us money to go to LAN, shout out to Swift for the games, not for the BM. Yak wanted me to say, when you win Gully, go for the interview and tell them you're the boss of the gym. So I guess I'm the boss of the gym. I don't know what that means.
Have you never played Pokemon?
No, I don't think it's that kind of gym. Maybe it is. I'm not sure.
I think it is.
But yeah.
Dom, is there any words from you that you want to share?
Shoutouts to my boy and Spy Boys. Shoutouts to Faint, because apparently I'm now on Faint. So that happened, so it's neat. And yeah, shoutouts to everybody watching.
Myself, shout out to Beater on production, to Dom casting with me. To both teams, it was a pretty neat fight, neat games, and to Credu for being completely nuts and killing other people than me. And shout out to chat and people involved in Copenhagen. That was Ascent versus SWIFT. That was upper bracket round 1. Ascent takes it 2 maps against 1 for SWIFT, and Ascent will join the winner bracket against 7. Playoffs are not over yet. 3 games remaining, so make sure to stay tuned in, and we'll see you next time.